Hello, I am here all alone. Celeste will be here in just a moment, I promise. How's everybody doing? It's Thursday. Good to see you. Hope all is well. It's been an interesting week for a lot of people. We got a lot going on in the world, it seems like. Hope that everybody that is here tonight has had a decent week. Let me get this banner going. Yeah, good to see everybody. What's going on, Celeste? Let's see, Stan. I almost said Celeste. Hello. Sibner's here. What's going on? Tony, my friend. Hello. The man with his own Discord emoji. And there's Celeste. Here we go. Hello.
Hello.
How are you?
Can we hear me?
Yes.
I'm all right.
Scrambling, it seems like.
Yeah. Honestly, it's a fool's errand for me to try to be on time for anything in my entire life. So that's what we're at.
I'll leave the comment that you said about being on time this morning out of it then.
Okay. No, that's exactly what I'm referring to, because I know
Yes.
I said that on purpose, and I'm kind of like, honestly, I'm a fool if I think I'm going to be on time for anything.
Well, I'm glad to have you. We got all kinds of people here
Yeah.
saying hello to you. One I wanted to highlight for you. Stan says, "Hi, Ryan and Celeste, two wonderful humans."
Hi, Stan. Thank you. That's very sweet.
Brian says hello. Josephine, as usual, has some questions for you. One, what are your favorite novels?
My favorite novels. I don't read as much as I should. I know the answer to that question, but it's almost slightly embarrassing because
all right,
I don't know. Some people feel a type of way about it, but my favorite novel of all time is American Psycho.
Oh, okay, I get that.
Yeah, some people will hear that and be like, "Yeah, really, that one, huh?" It's kind of a
different strokes for different folks.
Actually wrote like an academic paper on it when I was in college for one of my feminist sort of, what was the name of that course? Feminist something or other. I wrote a paper on American Psycho and I defended it. And
interesting.
I got an A on it, so I guess I did okay.
Nice. Ken wants to know if you have any guesses for what's coming in. I guess the flash pre-order from Vinegar Syndrome for what we can see on the banner at the moment. Have you taken a look?
I've not seen the banner, so I don't know.
There are people speculating that it might be Killer Clowns from Outer Space because of the colors, and I only say that because Ken is one of them.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't think it's that, but we'll see.
I don't either, but that would be a fun curveball of sorts.
Sibner says feelings on rules of attraction, which this is really random because I just recorded a pickup video, and one of them happens to be the Rules of Attraction media book.
Rules of Attraction.
Patrons will be seeing that in the next couple days.
I've never seen it, but generally I think it's good to have open communication and respect the other person's feelings and boundaries, and if it's reciprocated, then that's wonderful, and if not, you just kind of have to understand that it's not your fault or you as a person, and some people just aren't meant to be together. I hope I understood the question correctly.
I do like the very definitive answer there.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tom. Appreciate you. That's wonderful. We don't get hardly any of those here. Appreciate that. What's going on?
Nice.
I never know how to pronounce your name. I know that I've talked to you for like the last 2 months now, but is the first name Kyer? I don't have the Australian dialect down here. Oh, Tom was tipping you a cat. That's what it was.
Oh, hell yeah. Thank you.
So first thing, any recent pickups you want? One for each cat. Any recent pickups you want to talk about?
The only one that's recent is the one that came from you. So I guess I will talk about it and highlight you because you're wonderful. And straight up, this is what I was saying to my friend today, and I'm going to say it right here, live on the air. And here it goes. There are less than 10 I would say it is in the single digits. The number of like cishet men that I would trust if shit really went down, and you are among them. So that's how I feel about it.
It's you're gonna make me cry. That's a damn honor. I mean
know,
that.
I know.
That's wow.
I didn't want to put you on the spot, but you deserve it because you're great. So
I
there's that.
appreciate that. All right. I don't know how to follow that up. I wanted to share Welcome to the Dollhouse. Everybody needs to get this if they don't have it yet. Wonderful movie that I haven't seen in ages, and I can't wait to see it again. I'm working on a video on film criticism, and I wanted to watch Life Itself. This is the Roger Ebert documentary of sorts, and it's supposed to be pretty great. And then I am very excited to see After Sun. Have you seen After Sun yet?
No, it's
You
not
have. Oh no.
like streaming anywhere. So
No.
and it hasn't been available region A, so I can't rent it. But I know it will be soon, so hopefully I'll get a chance to watch that. Yeah.
I've been very, very eager to see it. So glad that I got it in. And Orbit has not been getting in very many of them, so it's been kind of tough to track down.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anything else going on with you lately?
Feeling a bit flustered. I had to do some grocery shopping, like super last minute, and also like eat something before I came over here, and I was like, classic me.
FYI, you are lagging again.
Oh no. How bad is it?
It's not as bad as that first time, but it's getting there.
Oh god. Okay. You know, hopefully that stays or that improves, because I've had to call my internet company like almost every day, and they still can't seem to figure out what's wrong with it.
Weird.
It's been a nightmare, to be honest with you. So that's good.
We have Google Fiber in our neighborhood. We're very fortunate. I'm very entitled just saying that. But I had a neighbor that was complaining about their Google Fiber, and I was like, "What are you talking about? I've literally never had an issue." Found out the way that fiber is ran, just because they're at the end of a certain line, it degrades the entire time. So by the time it got to the neighbor's house, they had like complete nothingness for internet, and that's why theirs is always terrible. So yeah,
that's interesting.
All right, I think we could probably get into it. Before we get into the announcements, I did want to highlight, Celeste was talking about feminism, and tonight, after all the announcements, we are talking about 5 of our favorite boutique releases that were directed by people that identify as females. And I don't know if I was just in a mood. I've noticed that 3 out of the 5 that I chose are like borderline offensively depressing. It was not on purpose. I don't know if I've just been in a like low point, but yeah, I guess we're getting into the feelings tonight.
I picked a few bummers as well, so
nice. This is gonna be a fun night. All right, let's get into some of these announcements then. First up, well, hello Terry. Before I get to that, what's going on? First up, we are getting on May 6th Kamikaze from 1986. This is a Kino Lorber release that has an audio commentary with Eddie Von Mueller, and this, I believe, is another one of the Lionsgate titles. This is, I think, only the second one that they've released from their vaults, and Kino is able to put this out. This is pretty damn cool that we're getting this. Nice. I don't know anything about this movie, but it's Luc Besson who did La Femme Nikita and Leon the Professional and The Fifth Element. And
so is it French?
Yes, it is.
Interesting. Okay.
Which, looking at the cover of this, I would definitely not think French immediately.
Yeah, me neither. But that's interesting. Yeah, I don't know a lot about it, so I don't have a lot of intelligent commentary to add on that one. Plus,
you're not the only one.
I'm gonna go ahead and say it now. I've been saying this lately. I'm straight up in my bimbo arc. Like, it's just dumb shit all the way down. I don't any sort of intelligent commentary or successful articulation is a thing of the past. I'm just
it's just gone.
Shit. Yeah, it's just all gone.
Cool.
So
We all deserve those moments.
yeah,
Shout
that's what I
Factory is
have.
hosting a Shout Select sale, and this is going on until tomorrow. You get 40% off of many of the Shout Select titles, and they're doing a couple giveaways. Unfortunately, this is a classic Shout sale, and it's not very great. Most of the titles are priced at like Amazon prices at best.
Yeah, I mean, they have a couple good ones, and then most of them are like, I mean, it's for the best.
Yeah,
for me right now, but
not very tempting, that's for sure.
mm-mm.
Next up, if you love Chucky on May 15th in the UK, HMV, Zavvi, and Amazon UK are getting this Chucky Season 2 Steelbook. They are also doing one of the special limited edition hardcover boxes. I think it's the Good Guys version, Good Guys Season 2, whatever they're calling it. They are doing another one of those. There's not a whole lot of details about that yet that I saw, at least when I posted this. But yeah, you should be able to pick this up. And I believe Orbit was doing a pre-order for this. So if you really wanted the Steelbook for this and you're in the States, you can have that. This is likely locked to Region B. And the only bonus feature on there is some deleted scenes. I don't think we've talked about it. Are you a Child's Play fan at all?
I've only seen the first one, and I talked about it on my channel briefly in a video for a sort of October thing I was doing. I like it. I don't know that I'd consider myself a fan, quote unquote. Like, I don't have any like Chucky merch or anything,
Right.
and I've only seen the first one, so but I do like it. So.
There's no real way to say this next sentence without sounding like an uber wannabe hipster, but it's odd how popular Child's Play has gotten and not remained sort of this not underground necessarily, but like common horror title. Child's Play's just kind of inserted itself into everything. Although I will say it's kind of cool that the whole idea behind it has turned into this just queer community love fest. And supposedly the 2 seasons, which I've not seen yet, are amping that up like crazy. So
nice.
Yeah.
We love that.
Yeah, it's
people love dolls.
They got a great cast. I mean, Devon Sawa's in it and everything. Let's see. Kino Lorber is putting out The Day and the Hour from 1963. This is getting a 4K restoration, only getting released on Blu-ray, but this is another French title. We're getting a whole lot of French films lately.
Yeah.
Oh, Brent says Chucky Season 2 should be region free. Nice. Very nice.
Cool.
Stan says, I love that Fiona Dourif has taken over her father's role. Yeah. Silent Mandible, what's going on?
Oh, someone asked earlier if I was only Region A, and no, I am region free, but the rental service that I use only carries Region A discs, so I don't have a way to rent the film after Sun, but
yeah,
I will soon.
I imagine that rental service would have the worst, like the worst problems with logistics if they started offering Region B items. People would complain.
So many people would
like
complain.
Crazy.
No one would know how it works. It would be a nightmare. Yeah.
Absolutely. Then we got an announcement for Death Machine. This one for sure is a Lionsgate title. And speaking of, this is Brad Dourif is in this one. And this one is written and directed by Stephen Norrington, who did Blade and the really wonderful movie, The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. He says with no sarcasm at all. I've never loved that movie, but a lot of people do. This one's from 94 and it gets a new 2K scan. Haven't seen it. It's supposed to be great.
It looks good.
I believe this is the original poster, which doesn't scream great, but it does sort of scream 1994.
Yeah, it looks like a video game to me, like an old like computer game cover or something. I don't know.
That or the Terminators. I'm dying. Yeah.
I imagine that was the idea.
Yeah, 94. That makes sense. We got some details behind the Kino release of The Experts, which is the John Travolta and Kelly Preston film. This is coming to us on May 9th, and we get a new 4K scan, and we get a new interview with the director, Dave Thomas. And for the first time in a long time, not a commentary on this Kino release, and it's one with a slipcover, and it's a John Travolta title. I have to think. I bet the studio didn't want them doing one for this for some reason. There's no reason why they wouldn't. I'm sure somebody would have talked about it.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of why a studio would not want that for any reason.
Well, I don't know if there's like bad stories about the production of this movie, but I do know that there are certain things, like supposedly, I think it's MGM is rather touchy on what you speak about in their commentaries. I've had a couple people that I've interviewed have shared like one of them, I can't remember which, but they were not even the ones doing the commentary. They were moderating it for somebody else, and some of the questions that they asked, the studio had them remove that. So like a third of the entire commentary is just blank space because they had to delete it. And because it wasn't them doing the commentary, I think it was the director, and they had asked questions that the studio didn't like. They couldn't just sit down and redo it because the director's off doing different things now.
That's crazy. I've never heard of anything like that, but that's really interesting.
Well, much of the time, if it's the same person, if it's one of the experts that's doing the commentary, they just do something else to fill up that space, and we never hear about it. Yeah, I think it was MGM. And I think I remember the title, but I don't want to say because I don't want to identify somebody. MVD is doing a sale on Unearthed Films, Visual Vengeance Video, and Wild Eye. And same things as they always do. $6.99 flat shipping, no matter how many you buy. They have a limit of 15 titles, which sounds like a lot, but then when you go in there and you see that you can get some really crappy movies for literally 99 cents, it goes by really quickly. So if you're getting 15 movies at 99 cents, suddenly you're spending, $22, including shipping, and you get 15 titles? I mean, that's not terrible.
No, that's very reasonable, actually.
Unfortunately, it is wildlife movies.
I was gonna say, I mean, I could pay $1 for a trash bin full of terrible films that I won't watch and will take up space in my house, but that's a really harsh characterization. I don't know anything about these, so
yeah, Sibner, all of the 99-cent titles are DVDs for sure. If you sort from lowest to highest prices, that's all it is, and the first 65 titles are 99 cents.
Yeah, I remember on the Black Friday sale they had a few Blu-rays for like $1, and I looked them up and they just didn't seem like my kind of thing, but sure there are some people.
Yeah, and there are some people that just truly love the type of films that Wild Eye puts out. I know somebody commented, I think it was on the Facebook post for this, that they were waiting for this sale because they had started to run out of Wild Eye films and they love them. So they bought 15 of the 99-cent titles and they got them coming for $22. I mean, if you love them, that's great.
Nice. Hey, Ryan, real quick.
Yeah.
I'm going to try doing something with my internet real quick, and hopefully that will improve things. So
okay.
I'll be right back. That's okay.
Sounds good. Yes, cool. Art B. Josh Williams, good deals on the Evil Dead Trap movies. Part 2 especially is way lower than I expected. Also, yes, like John said, the Visual Vengeance titles, pretty decent releases, and not like amazing prices, but good enough to say, hey, these are at least pretty tempting. If you do find some of them, it can be worth it. Sibner says, I do like obscure titles, but got to do some research. It's not just obscure. It's like the modern, no budget, shot on like iPhone or less quality, a wannabe horror where it's like a really cheap mask, and a lot of them are just not great. Plus, you're getting them in DVD quality, and then on top of that, it is I don't know. A lot of them, there's not enough of a plot to even be like, this is like, I like the story aspect of it, which you can on others. I don't know. But I will say, if you go to this sale and you look it up, Clickbait, the movie Clickbait is available, and that's Jeremy Long's film. He was the writer on that film. He's on this channel all the time. Hell, he might be in the chat right now. Yeah, you can get it on sale right now. It's DVD only, but it is one of the best places to get this without going through the motions to get the Blu-ray, which was only in that horror pack limited edition release. Yes, I need to see that Acid King documentary for sure. The Old Man movie is supposed to be really interesting, and I believe last I checked it was on Tubi, actually. So, yeah. John, that's perfect. A step up from Trauma. And even then, some Trauma movies are way better than these. Sardis liked it. Nice. Yeah, it is definitely Unearth's first animation title. And Sardis, isn't it like a Dutch film or something like that? It's definitely European. Chris, Celeste is here. Celeste is having some internet issues. They'll be right back, and we'll be right into it. You can see the little box on the screen there. Let's see. I will share, since I normally don't promote these enough. I did an interview with Bill Ackerman, and I did not get, not that I'm in this for views or anything like that, but a lot of people have not been checking this out, and I have a feeling because they don't know the name Bill Ackerman. And one of the things that I wanted to highlight is that Bill Ackerman is like the professional level of my interviews. I want people to be able to see this because supporting characters was a major inspiration for me to do what I did, and I appreciate Bill so much. And not to mention, Bill is one of the two people that are on the commentary for the upcoming Texas Chainsaw Massacre release, that the 4K release that was recorded in the Texas Chainsaw House. And if I remember, let's see. I thought the commentary was on this release, but it's not. I guess I can highlight this, that the US 4K of Texas Chainsaw Massacre is out there, and it's pretty cheap right now, actually. It's Estonian. That's right. It's Estonian. We got somebody from Estonia that's always a part of this. He'll be hopping on in a little while. Nice. Thanks, Dan. Appreciate that. Should I just get a Serbian film to have it in my big no-no clip? I mean, honestly, I think a Serbian film is genuinely a really good movie, actually. Really well made. We'll just keep going right along here. Hustle with Burt Reynolds is coming from Kino Lorber on May 16th. This one gets a 4K scan of the OCN with a new audio commentary by Elaine Silver and James Ursini. And I don't know much about this. Catherine Deneuve and Burt Reynolds. Yeah, it's a movie. I'm not a big Burt Reynolds fan. Every time I say that, I piss some people off because it's a lot of the big. There's Celeste. Hello.
Hi. Let me know if this improves.
That actually feels a lot better so far.
Sick. All right. Hopefully, I won't be so flustered now that I can hear you in real time and actually provide something insightful.
Good. Joe Jax has been waiting on a Kino sale. We should be getting word of one happening probably next week, I would assume. It is usually starting around the third week of March, and although that may have been this week, it looks like it'll probably be pushed next week. And then also the Criterion Flash sale will probably be next week as well.
Yeah.
Just got the TCM 4K Steel today. Ordered a couple I haven't seen. Nice.
Thank you, Christopher. That's a very kind comment. I appreciate that.
Well, and that was right after he was disappointed. He said no guest tonight, and I said Celeste will be right back. Celeste is a legend. Stan says, so scared of a Serbian film before I saw it, but it turned out to be extraordinary. See? I'm glad that you agree.
I have seen it.
I was going to say, have you seen a Serbian film?
Mm-hmm. It's okay. I was honestly kind of underwhelmed, both in its reputation and what it actually is, and in just how much I liked it. I don't think it's nearly as bad as people make it out to be. And in fact, the more extreme scenes are kind of almost comical in how absurd they are. Yep. There is a scene towards the end that made me extremely uncomfortable. I'm sure you can guess which one it is. That was pretty rough. But the rest of it I thought was kind of cartoonish, honestly. Yeah. And I kind of understand the point behind it, but I don't know. I wasn't really into it, to be honest. But I will defend it from people who say it's like not a real movie or something. That's a silly thing to say.
Is this a real conversation? Sibner says, is a Serbian film a Christmas movie?
Sure, why not? Anything's a Christmas movie if you want.
I'm trying to think of that opening scene when they're in the living room. I don't think there's any indications of Christmas there.
A Serbian Christmas.
There's so many puns that I want to make right now that are just very inappropriate. We got some release details for the Shout Factory 4K of The Haunting of Julia, and this is now the 4th time that we've discussed this film on this show. And
oh my dear God. The second time just with me.
Imprint announcements, nice. We're going to miss those, yeah. This is the second time just with you?
Mm-hmm. Oh, I remember the last time I was here, we discussed, I think it was this release, and we were like, I was like, I'm sure it'll one more at least, and then we were talking about like the Bed Bath & Beyond exclusive release and shit.
Yeah, we talked about this 3 weeks in a row on this show, which is ridiculous. But now at least we can compare releases. So this one gets this one's a UHD, which has that over the imprint. Yes, it's imprint that's putting it out. Imprint release. That one's only Blu-ray, but that one I believe it said it had a CD. I think if I remember right. This one gets a new audio commentary by Richard Longcrane and film historian Simon Fitzjohn. And then there's also introduction to the film by the director. There is Simon Fitzjohn, revisiting the locations from the film. Interview with actor Tom Conti. Interview with actress Samantha Gates. And then Kim Newman looks at this underrated ghost story.
All right.
New imprint announcements in 3 minutes. Nice. They're going to be the first thing we talk about next week then. Let's see. Next, Synapse. They kind of cheekily announced that they were going to be selling this at a con like 2 weekends ago, and then out of nowhere, this just came out, and this is a Diabolic and Synapse exclusive for the slipcover at least. And this is Black Circle from 2018, and the big thing that they're hanging this on is it stars Christina Lindberg of Thriller: A Cruel Picture fame, and it's from 2018. I gotta admit the trailer did not look great. I won't say that it's a bad movie or anything like that, but yeah, it didn't look wonderful.
Yeah.
Christina Lindberg, though, man, she is getting around. She just went to Le Chat Quifume in France to sign some copies of their recent release of Thriller, and I mean, she looks great at her age for sure.
Yeah. D. Sibner is asking what I watch at Christmas because they seem to think that I have some wacky choices. It's actually really, really boring what I watch at Christmas. I like to watch the Rankin and Bass Christmas specials, and I like to watch a Muppet Christmas Carol. Those are my go-tos every year.
We watched that as a Discord this last December. It was nice.
It's very off-brand, but I actually just really love Christmas, so yeah.
That makes sense. Let's see. Griff says the trailer for this made it seem like something Altered Innocence would put out. Slow burn and not much happening. I wouldn't really classify most Altered Innocence titles as that. Huh.
Slow burn?
A few of them certainly slow burn, but I wouldn't say not much happening. A lot of their stuff is just coming of age films.
Yeah, it's usually like artsier stuff is what they like, and I guess a lot of people consider those to be slower paced. I do actually have an Altered Innocence title to talk about at the end of our conversation today, and I would say that one is pretty slow paced, but
nice.
Yeah, I need to watch more of their stuff, honestly.
Well, I was stoked that I was posting this the week that you were going to be on, because this screamed Celeste. Did you happen to see this post and the next 3 that are a part of this?
No.
So this is Black Zero, which is a new boutique label out of Canada. We are going to go through some of this stuff, and then there are 3 title announcements that are out there and available already from these guys. But what it is like full-blown Canadian experimental cinema from the 1960s to present. And it sounds like something that would be right up your alley. So what they say is, we are named for the second sequence in John Hofstadter's Palace of Pleasure, What does Black Zero mean to us? It is the solid black frame that marks the 0 point of a film's countdown leader. It is the dark acetate of a roll of film stock as seen in profile. It is a void and an absolute fill, nothing and everything, the darkness of the movie house magnified to infinity. It is the circle at the center at each of our discs. Which, okay. It sounds a little pretentious, but
they put so much thought into that. You're like, okay, dude, what were you saying?
The actual informational stuff with this that I wanted everybody to know about, though, is that they say Canadian experimental film is an underserved field with a rich history. Our staff, advisors, and commentators include filmmakers, critics, and authors of books on the subject whose close and extensive experience with this cinema informs our releases, which love that. They have a frequently asked questions, and that's what all these are from. They say that our policy is to accept purchase orders only for discs that we can put in the mail immediately, so they will not do pre-orders. It is announcement, you can buy it now type of thing. This is where it might get interesting for a lot of people, is all of their discs are BDRs. They are basically an art house Gold Ninja video. We use high quality verbatim media. We burn them on an Epson disc producer system, and we test our discs on a variety of common players. Our discs are all region. Each release is assembled by hand at our workshop in Toronto, Canada. And then if you are really wanting to dive into this, Justin DeClue did an interview with Stephen Broomer, who is the founder, owner of Black Zero, and you can hear that on Important Cinema Club. And the episode for that was on January 25th. Yeah.
Interesting.
Kire, would you like me to tell you the? Yeah, you can put them in the comments. We can chat about them real quick. Okay, so the 3 titles, and this is where you might get excited because they certainly sound very experimental. So first we got Everything Everywhere Again Alive from 1975. This is 72 minutes, limited to 1,000 pieces, and it says it's a landmark work of Canadian underground cinema, a film diary with mystic and symbolic overtones. In the early 70s, Toronto filmmaker Keith Locke moved to Buck Lake, where members of the Toronto art scene were undertaking an experiment in communal living. It's the 70s, most people were. Locke filmed the achievements and daily rituals of his fellow communards, his camera bearing witness as a community assembled and dispersed. The resulting film uses poetic strategies, including logograms and other graphic disruptions, to extend its themes of renewal and rebirth, and to mark the encounter between reason and imagination, the concrete and the abstract.
Neat. D. Sibner used the joke that I was pondering using, and I thought it was too obvious, but yep. I respect the going for it.
It seemed very obvious after their Black Zero puns with making it sound like the bagel in Everything Everywhere. Tony is back, and they Imprint is doing The Bounty from 84, Leap from 2020, Marlena from 2000, Not One Less from 99, My Summer of Love from 2004. Not 17 minutes, hard as 70 minutes. 70. What was that, Celeste? I cut you off, sorry.
Oh, no, you're fine. I was just saying that I don't recognize any of those titles from Imprint.
Yeah, me neither. I think I might recognize My Summer of Love 2004, and then they're doing Damage from 92. Yes, a little pretension can definitely be healthy. I think Celeste and I would both agree with that.
I tried to embody a healthy amount of pretension.
Joe Jack, what's limited to 1,000? I believe they are only doing 1,000 of them, period. Not a slipcover, just 1,000 releases. Just like Golden Ninja Video. They only do that limited run. And this is what the back of the release will look like. And so you can get an idea of their extras. They have an audio commentary by Keith Locke, Return to Buck Lake, a new documentary featuring Locke and Buck Lake founder Tom, I don't speak French, Brûlé, something like that. Going, a short film by Keith Locke, A Circle in the Wilderness, a new interview with Keith Locke about the film and his time at Buck Lake, and then Changing Seasons, the Canadian pastoral in Keith Locke's Everything Everywhere Again Alive, a video essay by Stephen Brumer, and then there are liner notes by Buck Lake member and filmmaker Anna Granau.
Neat. I mean, it looks
Yeah.
like they did some effort there. You know, it's not just like a trailer or something. You know.
True. The next one, this is where they got their name from. Palace of Pleasure from 1967, a long-neglected classic of Canadian experimental cinema, a triumph of erotic art, a film about which Gene Youngblood once wrote, "See it and you'll see a window on the future," a Joyce Burroughs assemblage of bold, poetic, surreal visions of physical love in every conceivable form. In 1967, John
Ooh.
Hofstas released The Palace of Pleasure, a dual-screen therapeutic exploration of the erotic imagination. Intended as a trilogy, only the first two sequences were completed. The first part, Red Path 25, is a fantasy meeting between a young woman and her dream lover. The second part, Black Zero, is a macabre ritual vision of sexual freedom and domestic life that haunts the mind long after the screen has darkened. Okay, so this one's different. It says first pressing, limited edition of 1,000. The odd part here, this is actually only 38 minutes long. It's not a 70-minute film like that first one. And what's different about this compared to Gold Ninja, this actually says newly restored in 4K. So it's not some public domain type of film that they're putting out.
I wonder who did the restoration on that. I mean, I guess it's a shorter film, so it'd be less cost intensive, but still, I mean, it's a bit of a ambitious venture for such a small company, I guess.
Yeah, especially when it's brand new.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, I don't know. I'll take the invitation to the Palace of Pleasure. You know,
sign me up.
That could be fun
in every form too.
Well, yeah, I guess.
Let's see. There was a question. I missed it. Stan says, you guys don't know The Bounty. As I was thinking about it, is that the Mel Gibson movie? I don't remember what year that was. I got to read up a little bit. 1984? Yeah, I think that is, right? I think that is.
I don't know, to be honest.
I think it's Mel Gibson and Anthony Hopkins, if I remember right. Milena with Monica Bellucci. Nice. Okay, that is the one. Good. Here is the back of that one, which a little more almost sexy like, kind of. And then the third one, Strange Codes. This one is from 1975. This one also says first pressing limited of 1,000. This one also 23 minutes and black and white. Arthur Lipsett's Strange Codes is the legendary found footage filmmaker's first and only independent film made after his departure from the National Film Board of Canada. In a rented house in Toronto, Lipsett stages a series of mysterious rituals, appearing on screen in the guise of various characters, among them an archaeologist, a soldier, a scientist, a magician, and the Monkey King of the Peking Opera. Dense with enigmatic gestures and private illusions, Strange Codes operates, in Lipsett's words, at the midway points between the primitive, ritualized world and the world of logic and science. This one even, I don't know if you can see that, says restored with a 5K digital master.
Okay. Interesting.
5K.
Whoever writes these blurbs is like deserves a raise or is working overtime. I don't know. Like, this is good stuff. 23 minutes, you said? Something like that?
Only 23 minutes, yeah.
Okay.
Then there are 38 minutes of outtakes alone from the movie.
Okay.
There is a breakdown, a shot analysis of the film by Stephen Brumer, and supposedly that's like 4 or 5 times, or 3 times as long as the film itself.
Well, it'd have to be if you're analyzing every shot. You know?
Right. And then there's readings from the instruction box. Arthur Lipsett on the Secret Museum, a visit with Arthur Lipsett, who reflects on the natural collage of the universe. I don't know.
Interesting.
Stan says it sounds intriguing.
Yeah, they do. They're just like, I don't know. They're very short, right? Like, I feel like this maybe could have been a collection together. I don't know. Also,
yeah,
but maybe that just doesn't make sense. I don't know. Is there somebody? Oh no, never mind. I thought someone was impersonating you in the
No, that was me.
chat.
I was posting the
It
link
showed up twice for some reason. Anyway,
because it's posting to Facebook and YouTube and Twitch all at the same time.
got you. Okay.
The hard part, if this is only 30, or this one's even worse, 23 minutes long, how much do you think this cost? Remember, it's Canadian too.
$20.
27 USD. So
Yeah,
in Canadian money, it's a little more than that.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it is like handmade stuff and everything, but
Right.
you know, do we know what the difference is going to be between the first and second pressings, or is it just going to be like a, I don't know, you just know that it is?
Only one of these even mentioned a booklet, I think, or liner notes on the second one, liner notes on the first one. It could be a booklet, but this third one doesn't mention a booklet. Not entirely sure then. Interesting. All right, let's go to the next one then. Milestone Films, who is a partner label of Kino Lorber, they're putting out The Sorrow and the Pity from 1969. This is a new 2K restoration of a very French film, clearly, as you can tell if you're watching this from the cover. And this one is getting a new 2K restoration. There is a 40-minute visual history, courtesy of the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences from 2017. And this looks like a pretty decent release overall. I've heard about this one prior. It's supposed to be pretty great. It's a documentary. It is from its first release at an underground theater in Paris. This account of France's occupation under the Nazi regime has been acclaimed as one of the most moving and influential films ever made. Director Marcel Offels interviewed the residents of Clermont-Ferrand who remembered the occupation, as well as government officials, writers, farmers, artists, and German veterans. Here, in their own words, is the story of how ordinary citizens and leaders alike behaved under military siege.
Wow, that sounds like a must-own. I'm a big fan of Milestone, and I'm really glad that they're a partner label now, because they were just really, really small and kind of had, like, I remember when I watched Killer of Sheep for the first time, and that film really blew me away, and I wanted to buy it, and it was just very expensive on their website.
Yeah.
So hopefully we can kind of meet in the middle there, and it looks like, we are going to be getting easier accessibility and better price points for their stuff. Like, I know that Losing Ground has been in a couple Kino sales at this point. I just haven't picked it up yet, but that's a great film for anybody who's interested, by the way.
Do you remember the price on that one in the sale?
I think it was like $12, maybe $10.
I was
in keeping with the rest
$12.95.
of their numbers. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's not too bad, especially for a film like this. If you can wait, it's March, which means we're probably going to be having Kino sales every, 90 days starting next week or the week after. This will probably be on sale come, July or August, somewhere around there. $12, why not?
Yeah. Hi,
What's
Will.
going on, Will? Sardis just bought all 3 of those experimental films.
Damn, dude. Going hard. I respect it.
$95 with shipping. Speaking of Nazis, coming on 4K from Dark Force this summer is The Black Gestapo from 1975. I usually don't really cover a lot of the Dark Force titles, but this seemed like one that more people would want to know about. This one is, we don't know a whole lot of the extras or anything like that yet with the way that Dark Force announces things, but I don't know. I still got to see for myself what their 4Ks are going to look like. Have you ever dove into Dark Force at all with anything?
No, I haven't. And I was actually going to ask you that, because when I saw you posted this, I was like, I don't know how many people are really out here doing like Nazi exploitation films in 4K. Like, that's a weird pick to me, And I'm like wondering who Darkstar is that they are doing this sort of thing, and they also have the money behind it to do a kind of 4K release like this. I mean, that's not a cheap venture. It just seems really bizarre to me, and I don't know anything about the company, so I was kind of hoping you could maybe fill me in a bit.
Well, strap in. We can go through some of the history of Dark Force a little bit. So they were partnered with Bill Olson of Code Red. A lot of the titles that came out from Dark Force had the Code Red logo on the side and everything. They came out literally under Code Red, and that's where people started to trust them. But then things took a weird turn. They started doing things like the main person behind Dark Force is somebody that does wrestling, not like it's like amateur wrestling, but like WCW, WWE type wrestling. And he acts like a heel in everything that he does, even surrounding the company. He has literally on a live video challenged Vinegar Syndrome to a cage match.
Okay.
This company has caused a lot of problems, such as banning people from their site for giving any sort of negative word on Facebook during a live video. They have done some very distasteful things, like selling an autographed Bill Olsen diaper on their website while he was alive.
Okay.
He hosts live videos, and this dude affords to live in like downtown Los Angeles somehow, and has like a very expensive car outside, and easily wherever they're showing, it's a really like American Psycho sleazy type of apartment in downtown LA, where it's like stuff that has like mirror accents that shouldn't have mirror accents. But the important stuff, the discs. So they have a history of improperly translating subtitles, not including subtitles on very specific things, which are obvious. And then when people call them out, they attack the person that bought the disc. They just don't have a whole lot of high quality releases. They're very akin with other Code Red releases. And the hard part is some of the amazing titles they get. Like, this is one that I'd want to see in 4K if it's done right.
Interesting. I guess I should keep my thoughts perhaps under wraps, lest this person show up at my doorstep and try to assault me or something. I don't know what's going on.
Challenge you to a tables, ladders, and chairs match.
I guess. I don't know. That's all so bizarre. I don't really know how to respond to that.
No, it's a very bizarre story, I promise. Will wants to point out this is done by Lee Frost, who also directed the amazing Chain Gang Women and the first Nazi exploitation movie, Love Camp Number 9. Let's see. Griff says, I know Dark Force gets a lot of crap, but I just watched Kill Crazy and Hard Rock Nightmare, and they're really fun flicks. And that's what I'm getting at. A lot of the movies that they have are decent, like, fun movies, but I don't know. That's rough. Sibner says, so he's the Tommy Wiseau of physical media. Oh, man. All right, let's go to the next one. We got some very mainstream titles to talk about now. The Italian Job with the not problematic at all Mark Wahlberg is coming in 4K from Paramount on May 16th. And yeah, Mark Wahlberg probably doesn't deserve much more time than that. Cliffhanger is coming in 4K.
You know how I feel about that.
Yep. May 30th, you can get Cliffhanger on 4K. This is getting 17 never before seen and previously available deleted scenes. This will have Dolby Vision and Dolby Atmos on the 4K. Are you a Stallone stan?
No. I don't hate him, but I'm not a stan or anything, you know.
Yeah.
I like the first Rambo film. I honestly haven't seen the type of films he makes are not ones that I typically reach for, if you know what I mean. But like, I'm just sort of enamored with this very homoerotic image and enjoying it, I guess.
The Planet Hollywood era was very homoerotic. Like,
look at those shorts. He's reaching for that butt. Like, come on. That's
Sylvester Stallone, Bruce Willis, and Arnold Schwarzenegger seemingly fighting day in and day out to who could have the biggest biceps is like the weirdest timeline in Hollywood history.
For a second, I thought you were going to say that all those people were in the film, and I was like, damn.
No.
That's one for the boys for sure, huh?
Not at all.
Ugh.
Your best friend is back. Shooter is also getting a 4K from Paramount on May 16th.
I watched the first 30 minutes of this back in the day, and I never finished it, so I don't know.
That makes sense. The brand new Children of the Corn from 2020 is getting a Blu-ray release, and yeah.
I heard from our friend Erica that this was horrible.
Yeah. Have you liked any of the Children of the Corn films? I don't even really enjoy the first one all that much.
Yeah, I watched the first one back in the day, and I was like, this is kind of lame, honestly. Like, maybe I'd like it more a second time. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't get it all that much.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, next one.
Oh, hell yeah.
Speaking of Schwarzenegger, we're getting a standard 4K release of The Running Man. This was previously available in a steelbook, and that's it. And it finally is getting a standard release on May 23rd. And I mean, this is a classic.
I love this film, and I was a bit worried because I saw that the steelbook sold out, but that's good because I would like to get it regardless. Real quick, Silent Mandible just shouted out Thou. They are one of my favorite bands too. That band fucking rips. They're so sick, and they're like the nicest people.
Nice.
I've seen them twice, and I've talked to their lead singer and stuff before. He's a chill dude, so I love that band.
Very nice. Ice is here, man. Ice, you talked to me for the first time today in weeks. I was so glad to finally hear from you that you were alive. Let's see. Stan says it ain't good. Tony says I've heard nothing but negative things on the new Children of Corn. This is likely not the same scan as the German media book. A lot of those German media books, unless they're from a couple companies, which David, if you're super into media books, you can send me an email. I'll send you a list I have that this is ridiculous, but there are certain German companies. If you watched my video with Wicked Vision, there are certain companies that they just straight make bootlegs. They don't get legal permission to put out the movies, and they find an HD scan and put it on a disc and sell it. So I try not to support those companies. So if you want the list of the good ones to support that actually do get authorized restorations, my email's in the description below, and I'll send you that list. Anybody can reach out, obviously. All right, let's go to the next one, which is Criterion releases. June 20th, we're getting Medicine for Melancholy, which is the Barry Jenkins Criterion entrance. And this is his first film. Are you a Barry Jenkins person? Have you seen anything from him?
I am. I think I've only seen Moonlight, but that's a really special, wonderful film that I was fortunate enough to see in the theater when it first came out. Yeah, that one is just really something. And I've seen that this one has a bit more mixed reviews attached to it, but I'll definitely be interested in checking it out. And I love this beautiful sort of watercolor illustration for the artwork.
Criterion does really great art when they get new art.
Do. They really do, honestly.
I usually love it.
Yeah.
So this gets a new audio commentary with Barry on it, and it's got a 2008 commentary with Jenkins and the producers and the editor. There's a new program about the making of, featuring Sanders and actor Wyatt Cenac, and camera test footage, blooper reel, and an essay by critic Danielle Amir Jackson. And this cover art is by Alphaville. That's the artist's handle. And the big thing with this is he shot this film on desaturated video. So it's like this weird exploration of alienation and connection that is supposed to be great. I've still not been able to see this one, but I've loved everything I've seen from Jenkins. Like Moonlight is such an interesting lightning in a bottle film, it feels like, and it just hit on every single level.
Yeah. That's one of my favorite final shots in a film, I think. This is the final shot of Moonlight. Just really stayed with me.
Silent Mandible says, haven't seen this, but I've seen If Beale Street Could Talk, which is another great one. And that movie's why I will always stand Brian Tyree Henry. Brian Tyree Henry is like a gift to current cinema. I don't know if you've seen the show Atlanta or anything else that he's been in, but God, dude is amazing at everything he does. Atlanta is stupendous. It's like Black Twin Peaks in some episodes. It is this dive into culture that you would never expect to be a part of, and it's just, I love Atlanta.
Nice. I'll have to check that out.
It's on FX, and I think the show's completely over, so it's a really good time to watch it. I think it's only 4 seasons.
Nice. It's ticking all the boxes. I have access to it. It's done, so I don't have to wait, and it's relatively short. Those are all
really good music in it too.
Nice.
June 20th, Criterion is giving us The Servant from 1963. This is directed by Joseph Losey, and the screenplay is by Harold Pinter on this one. We got a new program on the director Joseph Losey by Imogene Sarah Smith, a rare interview from 1976 with Losey. There's an interview from 1996 with screenwriter Harold Pinter, interviews with actors, and a trailer, plus an essay by Colm Toibin.
Yeah. I'm of two minds on this one.
Oh, yeah?
I mean, one, it's supposed to be an absolutely incredible film. I haven't seen it. It's been on the Criterion channel a bunch of times, and I keep meaning to see it, and it hasn't happened yet. And I love that cover art, and I love Imogen Sarah Smith. Every time she has an interview on one of these, I'm just like so stoked about it because she does such a great job. But this has a Studio Canal 4K that's been out for a minute, and I assume this is the same restoration. I don't really see a good reason why this wouldn't be on a 4K.
Yeah.
So that's just kind of unfortunate, you know? I don't know if they're going to change their mind or what, but like, I mean, I think most of the features are the same. So I don't know. It's just kind of, I've been a little bit disappointed in a lot of the moves Criterion's been making lately, because I was a very public and dedicated Criterion stan for a minute, and decisions like this have me kind of like, I don't know, a little disappointed, you know?
I completely agree with a lot of that. The one thing that I will say is that they have very much excited me over the last couple of years with their choices in titles, but what they're doing with those titles is the opposite.
I totally agree. I think the selections are on fucking point like every month, but increasingly I'm seeing the announcements and I'm being like, I mean, it's a little underwhelming with like what you're doing with them, you know?
Right.
Like the supplements are getting more and more bare bones. The artwork is usually still pretty good, but and there's just so many 4K upgrades I love 4K upgrades, but it seems to be at the expense or at the bandwidth or at the space of newer releases, or, you know, new to the collection releases.
Yeah.
That's a little bit disappointing, but I guess that they're having a bit of a moment where they need to save costs and put out safe titles, I guess. I don't know, but yeah.
It's true. Sibner says, Criterion allowing brand new titles in the Barnes & Noble sale and their flash sales makes you wonder why other boutique labels can't do the same. I mean, I don't know if this is speaking to the choir or anything like that, preaching to the choir or whatever, but they're way bigger than any other boutique label, and that's probably the main reason why. They will sell more. They'll sell more titles at full MSRP from people that don't know the difference than most boutiques will sell during their sales. Period. I mean, I'm
also.
Go ahead.
No, you're good. You can finish what you're saying.
Just the way they've proliferated into Barnes and Noble alone gets a lot of the casual browsers to pick things up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was gonna say they also don't do limited editions, which is something that I've really respected them for, honestly. But I think for other companies to put a brand new limited edition on sale like that kind of loses a lot of the point of that, which is to drive, you know, sales early so they can recoup that cost faster for other titles. Whereas Criterion doesn't have to do that. But yeah, I think at the end of the day, they're just bigger, so they can afford to.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Even with the Criterion flash sale, they're going to be doing more in pure dollars than most other labels will do in an entire year, guaranteed, in one 24-hour flash sale. Period. Next up, speaking of 4K re-releases, Time Bandits is coming on June 13th on 4K. This is another Terry Gilliam film, which this is the third one that has been upgraded. Is it the third or is this just the third 4K release from him? Either way, that's just this year. And honestly, I'm willing to bet we're probably going to be getting, since Arrow is doing Fear and Loathing in 4K, we're probably getting Fear and Loathing in 4K here, probably in the next 2 months of announcements coming to Criterion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's been 2 upgrades so far this year, and then a new title as well, the Baron Munchausen. And yeah, I'm pretty sure Brazil and the one you just said, Fear and Loathing, is going to be coming soon too. I don't know. They're really inundating us with the Terry Gilliam joints. You know, I guess he must sell well, and he must be really easy to work with, because that seems to be like a safe bet for them. You know.
Well, and the other big thing is with a lot of these directors that are doing upgrades, they're still working. So with Terry Gilliam, he's not directing right now, so he's got time to approve masters and stuff.
Yeah.
What's going on, Kubrick lover?
Hi.
Monty Python and the Holy Grail, it should be out on 4K. I believe that.
It's not out yet, I don't think.
No, not yet. Stan says, sure wish Criterion would upgrade Laurence Olivier's Hamlet to 4K, or at least to Blu-ray. There's a lot of titles that I would love to see get even that Blu-ray upgrade. Criterion has done a lot.
Yeah, that's the sort of the main thing that I've been kind of hoping from them, is that they could kind of update at least that in-print DVD collection that they have. And a lot of the Shakespeare titles are still on DVD. I would love to see like an upgraded Shakespeare box from them. I think that would be fun.
The hard part, like, I don't think it's an ageist thing to say or anything, but I feel like a lot of the younger buyers that are really into Criterion, I don't think many of them are into Shakespeare anymore. Shakespeare's lost a lot of like draw that it had even 20 years ago. At least it feels like to me.
Interesting. I don't know.
Well, you know Wes Anderson will be all over 4K soon, Griff.
Which is great, because I just finished buying all of his stuff. So,
yay, restart.
Yay.
The Rules of the Game is coming in 4K as well. This one's got a 4K disc of the film and a Blu-ray of the film with the special features. This is we got an audio commentary written by film scholar Alexander Sononska and read by filmmaker Peter Bogdanovich, which is interesting. Comparison of the film's 2 endings. Somebody wrote the commentary, and then Peter Bogdanovich is reading it.
I saw that when it was announced. I was like, I don't think I've ever heard of that, but that's fun. It's like an audiobook.
Essentially, yes. There's a 2-part 1993 documentary by film critic David Thompson, and that is going to be on here. We got a video essay about the film's production, release, and 1959 reconstruction. Whole bunch of the other extras that have been on here. We got an essay, new cover by Raphael Garani. Yeah. This is one that a lot of people were expecting to come, and it just dropped immediately.
So this one is interesting to me because, to my knowledge, this is the first 4K upgrade that comes with a new artwork that's different from the existing Blu-ray.
Yep.
So that's interesting. So maybe they're listening to the feedback from people that are kind of upset about these upgrades because there's no difference whatsoever. And that's a relatively easy thing that they can differentiate. But honestly, I don't like this artwork as much as the Blu-ray one. Sorry to whoever did it. Nothing against this artwork. I just prefer the other one, you know?
The hard part about this too is, if I understand the complaints about not changing the artwork, but then I don't understand how, if you're Criterion, if you were going to keep the same artwork, why keep it in the same Blu-ray case? So that you can tell from 5 feet away that it's a different release.
I was kind of hoping they would be doing... Yeah, when they first started, all the new, like the first initial 4K slate back in November of 2021, was it? I hope that's right. All of them were digipacks, and so I was kind of hoping that they would all get that premium digipack packaging. And lately, more often than not, they don't, which is, again, people have different opinions, but
I agree. Eric, I'm not saying that Shakespeare is over. Come on.
Shakespeare's canceled. As of today, he's too boring.
I want to know, like, does Shakespeare still draw? Because it seems like nobody's like dying to get Shakespeare titles.
You know what? hang on a second. I'm gonna mute myself because this is gonna be loud. But hold on one second.
Okay, and I definitely don't mean nobody. I mean less than it used to be for sure. I'm very curious to see what is about to happen now. Oh,
Right next to me on my desk, the Riverside Shakespeare collection.
yeah.
Yeah. I'm not like the biggest Shakespeare fan or anything, despite that being literally right next to me. But I watched the Titus film. I think it was last
Ooh,
year when it was on the Criterion Channel, and that shit
Titus
like
is
blew me
amazing.
away. It
Titus
was
is
so
amazing.
good, so good. And I was just like, I have never been able to get into Shakespeare until I saw that, and I was like, damn, I think I get it. I think I get the big deal. So I bought that, and I'm kind of trying to teach myself how to understand his lexicon and the way that he speaks. And it's an acquired skill almost, you know? But so far it's been fairly rewarding. I've reread some of them and it's pretty good. So, you know,
Yeah,
you read some of the sentences in that and you're like, oh, that's just amazing that somebody composed a sentence that good, you know?
and that we still love it 400 years later
Yeah.
and still study it. Yes, Titus is fabulous. Joe Jack says you must be an English major.
I studied political science, but I was in a few advanced placement English classes in high school, so I actually got to skip it in college. So
Stan says you need to check out Peter Brook's King Lear.
I probably should.
I hated the way the Citizen Kane is packaged from Criterion.
I'll defend it. I think it's fun. It's so extra.
It's so extra. Will says, come to the Blackfriars Shakespeare Center in Staunton, Virginia this fall. We can go to a play together.
Is that the one? Because I think I've been there. I think I went when I was in high school. We went on a trip there. Is that the one where they don't turn the lights off and they make it like as authentic to the way that they were done back in the day as possible? Because if so, I have been there and I've been wanting to go back at some point once I kind of get closer to, I guess, conquering that book beside me.
Very interesting. Tony is asking if Titus is on Blu-ray.
It is on a Twilight Time Blu-ray that is out of print. That's it. It's very unfortunate because I've been waiting, low-key waiting for Criterion to announce it because that would make me very happy. But
man, I wonder if Sandpiper will get it. Yeah, I was just looking it up as well. That's crazy. Mm-hmm. Oh, Twilight Time.
Okay, that is the one. Yep.
Nice.
All right, let's do it.
Brana. Have you watched any of the Brana Shakespeare stuff?
No, I feel like I've oversold how into it I am, but like it's something that I'm working towards. It's not something that I'm like super into yet. It's like kind of a challenge I've made for myself to conquer Shakespeare.
Right.
Oh, 230. That's very reasonable. I'll go ahead and
Eric
do that
just looked up Titus and it's $230 on Amazon. Yep. That's worth it.
I think it's good. So you know what? Go get it.
Isn't $230 good though? No. Check out Julie Taymor's The Tempest.
Nice.
All right, we got some more Indicator 4K announcements. So we are getting on June 20. What?
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Did you cover the Pasolini box last time?
Yes. Do you want to talk more about it?
Okay. No, just briefly. I'm like a huge fan of him and his work, and that's like to me the most exciting thing that's been announced all year. Like period. I'm just so stoked to get it.
Wax poetic, please. And I'll bring up a picture of it and everything.
Okay. Just like Pasolini is just like a director that I really, really just have a lot of respect for. And like to be honest with you, I was talking about this with Sam, film blogger Sam, recently, because he was asking me for recommendations because I was really excited about it. To be honest, I've only seen Sallow and Arabian Nights, but both of those films completely blew me away and were different from like anything I'd ever seen. And the reason I haven't watched more of his stuff is because I was kind of waiting on a set like this, because I know that Janice has been acquiring a lot of his stuff. And so I wanted to have like a nice package and nice quality to kind of go through it all like that. But I don't know, man. Like, Salo is like one of my all-time favorite films. I know it's kind of a meme, but what I always say to kind of sell people on it is like, it's a film that was so offensive to Italian fascists that they murdered him for it. Like, that's like the most Chad shit I've ever heard in my life. Like, it's hard as fuck, my man. You know?
Yeah, it's I think previously I had said Pasolini and the handful of people that you could kind of throw in that same sort of, not to like lower this to something negative, but that like subversive political bucket, they can really be seen as somebody that is just literally there to give a middle finger to the authoritarians that you just want to see fucked
Mhm.
over. And
Mhm.
this is the kind of thing, like, I've not been excited about a Criterion box set in years, especially after some of the reviews. Like, I really wanted the Varda set to be amazing, and everybody says that like the movies are still good, but it's just not well put together, and the compression's rough and all that.
Oh, really? I
Yeah,
have it. I actually haven't cracked into it yet, but the box itself is beautiful. Like, I was so stoked to get it. I got it on a really good deal, so I'm gonna get it. I was gonna get it regardless, but um, yeah, if like the compression isn't good, then that's unfortunate. But
yeah.
I will say I love the box. Um, but
Well,
yeah,
and
this is
Varda's
like the
amazing.
first like big set that they've done in a minute. So that in and of itself is exciting, but because it's for a director that I've been waiting for a comprehensive box like this for so long, I'm just like very excited about it. So yeah.
Well, and not only that, it's the first one in a long time, but a lot of people were mildly disappointed because it's not this rumored Kurosawa box set that nobody's even
Mhm.
confirmed is coming. It's just been speculation.
Yeah, I don't know that even has a chance, honestly. Like, some of those films are with other people, and like, I don't know. I haven't really heard anything other than just people really wanting it to confirm that was
Right.
actually going to happen. So
Yeah, this one is kind of a must for me fairly quickly. I definitely gonna wait on a sale because $200 for this is a
mhm,
lot. But um,
mhm.
this is the type of thing that the people that I respect hyping everything about this box set up says that some of these deep cuts, if I don't see them, I'm like willingly choosing to be an idiot.
That's a bit
And
harsh, but you might be missing out on something. I don't know. Uh,
big discounts, Truffaut box set. I could see that coming. I mean, Kino's been doing a lot of
yeah,
those too.
I think that might actually happen. I know that they have. I think there's new restorations out for some of his stuff that Criterion has, so that might
Definitely.
actually happen.
Yeah. So for those that haven't seen Sallow, what makes it your favorite film?
My favorite film.
Yeah,
Um, well, it's not my favorite, but it's on the list somewhere. But yeah, I don't know. It's so. I don't know. I'm a really big fan of extreme and subversive cinema in general, and when
yeah.
it's in service of such an important message, that's just even better. And the way that it's made is just so wholly unique. Um, I don't know. Like, I don't know if I tell you that somebody made a film that offended fascists so much that it got them murdered, and you don't want to watch that. Like, I don't know what else to tell you. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, that should be it.
Yeah, there's a lot that seems to be a little too prudish with current cinema that I feel like we need a couple
I
Sallows
agree.
to really come out and make some major waves. And it's not just the same argument that like Justin Liberty has been posting about on Twitter, which nothing against what Justin is saying. I completely agree that film is not horny enough right now at all. However, there's so much more than that. Like, there's not enough pushing of the buttons. The whole idea of cancel culture is just this weird black cloud looming over everything lately. I don't know.
I uh I agree that it should just be hornier.
Completely
Any
agree.
amount of more horny is good. Yeah, I don't know. Don't get me started about this sort of new kind of puritanical left that kind of doesn't like any kind of sexual representation or like explicit depictions of sexuality. Like that shit is so whack. I don't know. Like I think we should just be things should be a lot sexier, to be honest with you. I think that we would all be better for it. I think healthy depictions of consensual sexuality is only a good thing, generally speaking. So I don't know.
Best of luck, Sardis. Tornadoes in the area.
Oh shit.
Jeez.
Stay safe.
Yeah, I want to just point out the most asinine take I've ever heard on the whole nudity thing in film. And I don't know how much you've been reading. Like, it's been a big part of discourse on film Twitter lately. And I don't really spend a lot of time on Twitter. I just go on there to post announcements. But I have seen somebody say that putting nudity in film is doing something that is akin to sexual assault to the viewer because they did not consent to it.
I mean, that's the argument at the core of all of this, is that like it makes me uncomfortable and I didn't explicitly consent to it, so it's like shouldn't be there, which is a really bizarre way of framing consent and of looking at the viewer's relationship to art, I think. Yeah, I don't know about that. You know,
unless there's some weird Clockwork Orange thing going on, you sat down and chose to watch the movie.
Well, also, okay, I'll raise my hand and put myself in this position. It's just not sound like I'm being callous, but there are certain triggers for me in films that give me a bad time, you know, and I am aware of that. And so if I have a reasonable expectation that something like that might be in a film, like the IMDb Parents Guide, it's there and it tells you in explicit detail the things that happen in it that could upset you. I know it's called the Parents Guide, but it's also like the trigger warning section. Like that's kind of what I use it for. Like, and if I see something there, I'm like, oh, I don't know about that. Or if I want to know if there's going to be like animal cruelty in something, I can check that. And sometimes, you know, stuff slips through the cracks and whatever, but I do kind of fundamentally agree that if you're watching something, especially something that is purposefully subversive or rated R, or, you know, giving you an idea that it is to be extreme in some way, like I kind of think that that's part of the thing, is that you signed up for an experience that you don't know everything about going in, you know? Yeah, I don't know.
It's kind of a funny way to frame it, because with the reputation, like nobody is sitting down and accidentally watching Sallow.
That would be very strange. But even if that did happen, like that's not Pasolini's fault, you know? Like
exactly.
That's very strange. It's just, it is a weird way to look at it, I guess.
Yeah. Absolutely.
You know, I also, real quick, I meant to make this point earlier, but when I've seen these Twitter threads where people are, let's call it, up in arms about how much sex there is apparently in media now, somebody will be like, well, like what? Can you give me an example? And a lot of times these people will bring up rape scenes, and I've seen other people point this out, but I want to go ahead and agree that a rape scene is not a sex scene. Like that's a scene of violence, and that's a different thing. And if that's where your head went, you might want to interrogate that. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just saying.
Yeah. I mean, very well put. And that's the common argument that I've had with like the whole, not to make all of this about religion necessarily, but with the conversation that comes up, like if you don't believe and you don't use that as the basis for your morals, why aren't you out there doing more raping and killing? I'm like, I'm doing as much as I want to do, which is none.
Yeah,
I don't get it.
You bring up religion, and that is what it reminds me of, is this kind of, I guess, newer spin on old puritanical values. I'm just not here for it, honestly.
Yeah, I completely agree. Let's go. Indicator 4K release is coming June 26th in the UK and June 27th in the US and Canada. We're getting Cold Eyes of Fear on 4K. This is a really good looking release. This is getting audio commentary with critics and authors David Flint and Adrian J. Smith. Directing fear, Enzo G. Castellari looks back at the production and his experience of working with the actors. He is still alive and kicking. This is a brand new interview, and this film is from 1971, which is fantastic that we're getting new stuff featuring him. An Italian in London, actor Gianni Garco reflects on his role and considers the film's place within his career. The Men in the Editing Room, the assistant editor Gianfranco Amicucci recalls a creative collaboration. Lovely John on Ennio Morricone, the DJ and soundtrack enthusiast, dissects the film's experimental jazz score. And with Ennio Morricone doing this, I feel like I have to get this. We also get a limited edition exclusive 80-page book with new essay by Roberto Curti, a career-spanning archival interview with Enzo G. Castellari, and some more archival interviews and an archival news reports on the death of actor Frank Wolf, overview of contemporary critical responses, and full film credits.
Nice.
Lots of stuff. I'm really hoping the Indicator 4Ks are good. I have no reason to think that they won't be.
I agree. I don't have any reason to think that they wouldn't be. But yeah, they've been doing some interesting like Gothic stuff that I'm not specifically familiar with, but it seems like it's absolutely in my wheelhouse. So yeah, they seem to be swinging for the fences with this. So taking some bold moves lately, and I'm here for it.
Indicator kind of seems like a label that would pretty much all encompass everything that you specifically are a fan of. They do so many like classic
You're kind
things.
of right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The classic Gothic Mexican horror they were doing. That's very Celeste.
Yeah, they do they do a lot of like Gothic horror stuff and like classic Hollywood and also like just general art house and also like independent comedies and stuff. You can't really like nail them down on one thing either, which is like also very on brand for me. Like that's what I'm about to. I'm a big fan of Indicator, honestly. I think they're doing good stuff.
And then they released John Carpenter's Vampires.
I have that one. I haven't watched it yet.
Honestly, it's a fun movie. Ragnar's pointing out that Mondo Macabro Halloween sale items are finally shipping. Everything except for Dr. Caligari, which ships starting next Tuesday.
Halloween, huh?
Literally, he had major issues with the box set, the Bollywood box set they're doing. It got super delayed. The next release that they are doing, this is another 4K release. Same dates, June 26th in the UK, 27th in the US and Canada on 4K. Indicator's doing Black Magic Rites from 1973. And this one says, when beautiful Lorene throws a wild party at the castle which she has just inherited, she is blissfully unaware that its dark cellar harbors an occult sect that is hellbent on avenging the death of Isabel, who was burned at the stake 600 years earlier as a witch. The occultist satanic rituals call for the blood of virgins. Could Lorene be next?
Right on.
Audio commentary with... I figured you would be. David Flint and Kim Newman is on this one. The Seventh Art, according to Ralph Brown, far-reaching documentary on the first half of Renato Polselli's career, featuring an archival interviews with the filmmaker and his actor collaborator Mickey Hargitay. We got a composer revisiting his haunting score from this. Lovely John on Gianfranco Reverberi. I'm probably saying that wrong. The DJ that was on the last one, he comes back and deconstructs the film's delirious compositions. Stephen Thrower is on this one. The author and musician analyzes Polselli's nightmarish cult classic. And we got some new subtitles and another 80-page book.
Nice.
These look great. Genuinely look great.
I just watched the Devonsville Terror from Vinegar Syndrome recently. That seems kind of similar. I was really into that.
Nice.
It also kind of reminds me of what is the name of that? City of the Dead, which I love. So yeah, that sounds cool.
The Mondo Macabro titles we talked about a couple of weeks ago. When can we expect those to come out? I can give you a sort of answer to that. I won't give away any specific details, but let me pull something up. I actually have a sort of answer. Apologies for the delay.
Fine.
Let's see.
D. Sibner's comment just made me laugh.
Okay, so I believe they're still planning on doing at least 3 more pre-order events this year. We are hopefully going to be doing some. I don't want to oversell it, but hopefully doing something cool with Mondo fairly soon on the channel. So
Nice.
yeah, we'll be talking about that very soon. Oh yeah, their website, it's literally just to sell things. It's not great for information at all.
Yeah.
All right, only a few left, I think. The Last of Us, which everybody has been talking about repeatedly for the last 2 months. This is coming out on 4K because HBO still does decent physical media, thankfully. This is coming on July 18th, and if you are in the UK, this will probably be coming to the US, but they haven't announced it yet. This wonderfully designed steelbook is coming out in the UK,
Man,
and
that's sick.
it's a really nice design. And surprisingly, this has decent extras too. We got new The Last of Us Stranger Than Fiction, the series cast and filmmakers joined by experts in survival, microbiology, and parasitology for a chilling discussion on the realities of the invasive fungus and subsequent apocalypse in The Last of Us. There is, of course, a portion about adapting The Last of Us from the video game to the show. Discover how The Last of Us incorporated and expanded fan favorite game moments into the series, and then some other featurettes that they're doing. And yeah, it'll be subtitled in a few different languages. Looks like a pretty solid release.
Does it not come with a copy of the game?
I don't think they've done that yet.
That could be fun.
I'm sure that'll happen eventually. Although they'll probably do a digital bundle of all of them first.
Yeah, I was mostly joking, but that would be fun. I don't know. Yeah, that would be an interesting sort of blending of formats.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is exactly the kind of thing that the way my brain works, both the contrarianism and the completionism just completely avoids. So I'm like, oh, it's just like extreme hype, and they also want me to like think about the same thing for multiple weeks. I don't know about all that. I can't be out here waiting for things.
Well, I'm my wife and I both are actually very much like you, where we have been trying to not start shows that are still ongoing. We'll wait for them to end, and then we can not necessarily binge, but not have to wait, 6 months between seasons.
Exactly. Yeah.
Mitchell says they've said it's at least 3 seasons. Could be worse.
Cool.
This one, I'm curious what you think about this one. June 20th, Insidious is coming out on 4K in this steelbook. Sony has not announced if it's going to have a regular 4K standard release or not, but Insidious. Are you a Insidious fan?
I am. I don't know if that's a surprise, but I actually do really like this one. Yeah, this was sort of that kind of era of horror that James Wan kind of specialized in, like this and The Conjuring and that kind of thing. Yep. That was really big and was just sort of coming out when I first got into horror, like very first got into horror. This was one of the first horror films I saw, and I thought it was pretty effective. And I rewatched it, not that recently, but kind of recently, and I thought it held up pretty well, especially for like PG-13 horror, like PG-13 modern horror. I think it goes farther than you'd expect, and it is pretty effective. The steelbook artwork I think is pretty lazy, but other than that, I mean, it's whatever. I like the film, so.
Not only is it lazy, I don't know if this is going to be on the actual steelbook, but if you zoom in, on his right eye, it says Insidious. On his left eye, it looks like it says the word is, or a backwards like 5-1.
Is it? It's not the 15th anniversary, is it?
No, it's 13th.
Okay. I don't know about that then.
I saw that pop up and I was like, why is this on his face? I don't understand it.
That's funny. I don't know. I think that the design in general is just bad. Is it bad? I think it's bad.
Well, not only is it bad,
But
there's nothing different. I believe this is one of the theatrical posters.
well, it's also the one I have the Blu-ray, and I'm pretty sure it looks almost exactly like this. So
Yeah.
that's an
Ragnar
old
says
ass Blu-ray.
it is very. I hope the new label that Jared is doing with Jesse from Diabolic isn't messing with Mondo. They seem to really fall off the past year on releases. I will fully disagree with that. I think Diabolic has had the best year they've ever had, and it's definitely not messing with them at all. They haven't even gotten that the release date for the first title isn't out yet, and yeah, it's not. I talked to Jared. It's not done anything with Mondos, and honestly, I think this year has potential to be the best year from Mondo Macabro again ever, ever.
Nice.
People are saying that you're making them feel old.
Oh, well, that makes me feel good at least. So you can take comfort in that.
Insidious is good, but the sequels are not. I think I've only seen the second one. Have you seen all the sequels?
No, I saw the second one, and I saw it in theaters, and I remember
too.
liking it. But I also remember having a really kind of quintessential terrible theater experience where people were like screaming really loud on purpose and like being really obnoxious and like, oh, the big horror movie of the week is out, let's go and make fun of it because we're so cool or whatever, like that kind of annoying thing. But I remember thinking it was like a good time or whatever. I don't know, I'd have to rewatch it, I think.
I kind of similar but opposite feeling. I've only ever seen the second one and the first one, and I had a wonderful experience. This was one of my first experiences at a theater in Kansas City after I moved here, and it was, I think, 2014 or 13, one of the two when it came out. And my wife and I went to this theater, and first of all, keep this in mind while I say this: $15 a person. $15. This is amazing for this. So when you go in, you get Insidious and Insidious 2 double feature. You get a it wasn't huge, obviously, but it was like about yay big, probably like 6.5 inches long. This little fake blood bag, and it was a cocktail in this little blood bag that came with the price of admission to both films. And then up above the movie theater, they had set up it was not large, it was very small, but an actually pretty well made haunted house. And then in between the two films, they had a local ghost hunter come and talk about what they do.
Yo, that's so sick. That's so fun.
$15 a person.
Now, the cocktail was that was alcoholic, I'm assuming?
Yep, alcohol, mixed drink, yeah.
Damn. I don't drink, but part of the reason I don't is because like typically that kind of thing runs you $15 on its own, which is like so stupid to me. Like that's crazy that you got that deal.
Yeah, hardly ever drink myself, and yeah, to get that, I was stoked on it. Les Miserables is coming out. Go ahead.
Sorry, you said that the film came out in like 2013 or something like that.
Like
I think
that,
that's about right. Because to continue making you all feel old, I was in high school when it came out, and I went to go see it.
Let me see. I can pull up IMDb to verify. But yeah, we moved here in 2013, so I have a feeling it was that like September, somewhere around there. Yeah, 2013. Look at that.
You know, I'm about to turn 26, and I've lately been feeling older. Like I think for a while I was just in my head like, yeah, I'm still 21, and then all of a sudden I'm not, and then I've just been feeling older. But being in this space and this community and seeing my YouTube analytics and just knowing you all, I get to feel young again. So that's fun.
Yeah. The analytics. I was looking back on who views my videos for the first like year and a half of this. It was 99.8% male, I think, and the vast majority were over age like 45. I was like, oh, interesting. Interesting. Yeah,
I get it. Sorry, I'm just reading these comments. David is like angry at me for being as young as I am. Sorry, that's just funny.
Insidious 2
is not even yet. I'm still 25. All right, so it'll be soon though, so don't you worry.
Insidious 2,
creeping.
September 13th, 2013.
Nice.
Sibner says, I'm a
Well.
whole high school sophomore older than you.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on. Younger people aren't really into this shit. So I'm just kind of, I get to feel young, I guess. I don't know. Although my analytics typically start around 20, 25, I think is generally the age range that it starts at. But most of the people who watch my videos are quite a bit older than me. So that's interesting. But anyway, that was a whole thing. We can move on to Les Mis, which is another one that I saw in theaters when I was in high school. So that's fun.
Nice. Les Mis coming on 4K this summer from Universal, and we don't know anything else about this yet. Odd press release for them to put this out, but this one, I'm not surprised that this got announced. This is one that was very, very popular when this came out for even for like younger people, which I feel like some people were surprised by. But this will probably sell like crazy for them.
I was surprised only in that I thought it already existed. And I was like, oh, I guess they never did a 4K for this. Yeah, I thought it was okay. It's a little much, honestly.
Yeah.
It's very... it's very extra, I think.
It's pretty garish.
Like they're singing every line, and garish is a very good word for it. It's just, yeah, there's a lot going on.
That's not a high bar, Tony.
I mean, yes, but also I would rather watch Cats again.
Damn. I mean, I guess
because that's like a fun. Oh no, I hated it. It was one of the worst films I've ever seen. But it was if
you're a big fan of camp.
Oh yeah, no, it's so. Cats is a film that the whole time I was watching it, I was just shocked that it even existed and that it was as bad as it was. Les Mis is just kind of like. I mean, it's fine and it's like kind of good, but it's also like 6 hours long and there's like a ton of singing in it. It's just like you don't get Ian McKellen fucking CG'd onto a cat like licking up milk and shit. Like, you know what I mean? Like you can't get that experience anywhere else.
With a cat body that somebody took the time to CG a butthole on.
Yeah, I'm still waiting on the butthole cut for Cats, honestly. That's what I really need, you know.
Maybe that'll be on the unrated 4K cut next year.
I hope so.
Australia is getting a 4K of Reservoir Dogs on May 31st. This is coming from Via Vision, which is the parent company of Imprint. This is getting a 3D lenticular hard case, and they don't know the features on this yet, but it'll probably be the same features that was on the disc in the States.
David's comments are just making me laugh today. I like that one.
Cats is a film. Whoa. Not so fast.
Yeah, let's pump the brakes there.
Mitchell, hashtag justice for the hashtag butthole cut.
That's right. That's
we
need to get people
on
together,
a new shirt.
like all these fucking Snyder cut people, but we need the butthole cut crew to assemble and make that happen, you know? Can I tell a quick story about when we saw Cats real quick?
Yeah.
So there's a theater in Richmond here that does like, $3 movie tickets or whatever for stuff that's out of theaters at that point. It's like I guess it's an art house, but it's like an independent nonprofit theater. Anyway, it's in a district with like it's like the trendier district with like nice restaurants and stuff like that. So me and Avery were out on a date and we got some Thai food. And then we walked out of there and I saw across the street where the theater was that they were showing Cats. And I was like, yo, let's watch Cats. I said it as like a joke. And she was like, okay. And I was like, wait, let's actually do that. And then we just walked across the street and saw Cats. And it was something else, let me tell you.
That's a big on a whim type of watch.
It sure is. I don't know that I'd recommend it, but it's a good memory, so maybe I would.
There you go. Got to do it the right way.
Yeah.
This is one I don't usually talk about music stuff on here a whole lot, but this is kind of too good to not mention. La La Land Records has a March Madness sale happening that's been extended to March 31st, and they are doing an extra 25% off of your entire order if it's in stock. And some of the prices that they have is already really, really great. If you are somebody that likes CDs, they are one of the better ones to get CDs from. And a lot of stuff for $10 and below before the 25% is taken off, which is very, very impressive pricing.
Nice.
Got some examples. They've got a Graveyard Shift is $9.95. Nick of Time is $4.95. Friday the 13th, the game is $9.95. They've got lots of things like The Sandlot, Unlawful Entry, Cobra Kai, Child's Play, a whole bunch of DC and WB show soundtracks, all under $10. If you don't have the Larry Cohen documentary, King Cohen, it is $16.98 right now on there before the 25% is taken off. I mean, really great prices. Terry says, if the Reservoir features do pan out to be the same as US release, I feel the Australian release will be a better package. It absolutely is. Way better.
Damn. I just bought the US one pretty recently.
Perfect timing. Then, just before we went live, Umbrella announced this interesting new little partnership, and they are putting out Mad Heidi from 2022. And I love this primarily because of one word. So I'm going to read this real quick. A dystopian Switzerland has fallen under the fascist rule of the evil cheese tyrant, President Meili, whose grand plan for global domination includes spreading Swiss cheese around the globe and the eradication of all lactose-intolerant scum. Sweet-natured Heidi lives a simple life in the Swiss Alps, protected by her gruff grandfather. But when her boyfriend, Goat Peter, is killed by Meili secret police, the innocent girl transforms herself into a kick-ass female fighting force who sets out to liberate the country she loves from the insane cheese dictator. Based on Johanna Spyri's beloved children's book character, Johannes Hartmann and Sandro Klapstein, Klapstein's Mad Heidi is the world's first, this is the word, Swissploitation action-adventure extravaganza. Take it from us, this ain't no Shirley Temple film. And this gets a slipcover, audio commentary with the director, audio commentary with a couple of the actors, a making of documentary, stunt reel, visual effects breakdown, teasers, trailers, and all that fun stuff. This sounds really, pardon the pun, cheesy and fun.
See, when you said that you were a big fan of one of the words in there, I thought it was going to be cheese dictator. Like, I was like, yeah, that's pretty good. And then you got to Swissploitation. I was like, wait, that's better.
It's
That's
so
better.
good after what the story is.
Yeah.
Oh,
man. They're even going after lactose intolerant people. Fucking
them scum.
vegans are not safe.
So
I can eat cheese. I choose not to. They're not gonna be happy with me.
this is seemingly like a new partnership that they're doing. This even has a spine number of 001 on it, and it's listed under Monster Fest. So it looks like they might have some more coming related to this.
I'm sorry. Don't you mean Munster Fest?
That was a Gouda one. Nice.
Oh, thanks.
That was, yeah. This could get very funny for like the next 10 minutes.
Somebody should keep a counter.
I can't even think of another one. Damn it. All right. 101 Films in the UK is getting 2 more AGFA releases, and then that is it for the week, I believe. They're getting The Sword and the Claw from 1975, and then the AGFA Horror Trailer Show. Both of these are coming on the 17th of April. Both of them are the same discs as what was already released in the US, and these will come with that very, very obvious AGFA slipcover that they're doing for these titles. And you Cheddar, stop making these jokes. Okay, that was all right.
Come on.
Yeah, I'm glad AGFA's going out to the UK and getting their releases out there. That's it.
Yeah, for sure. Oh, was that it? Ooh, slow week, huh?
Kind of, but also it's already 11:15 over there.
Oh, it is. Shit. Time just flies when I'm hanging out with you, Ryan. You know.
I'm glad. I hope that means it's
doing
fun.
more parm than good. Shit, that one's kind of good.
That's actually pretty good. I don't know. This is getting pretty mold now. We got Red Eye in 4K. Red Eye coming in 4K next week. Inland Empire from Criterion. Dragon Slayer 4K. Babylon 4K. Dr. Giggles from Scream Factory. Megan is officially releasing next week. Sorry, Wrong Number from Scream Factory. Crazy People from Shout Factory. The Long Wait 4K. I believe this is Classic Flicks. Critical Condition from Shout Factory. Lucky Jordan coming from Kino next week. The Bell Star Story, which is one I have to pick up from Raro, and I think that's it. Stanleyville technically releases next week, but most people that wanted that are getting it already. Flaming Ears from Kino, and then if you really want Left Behind with Kevin Sorbo, which I know is one of your favorites, you'll be able to pick that up
He's a good one.
Starting next Tuesday.
Yeah.
Fucking Kevin Sorbo.
Disappointed.
All right. Feminine and feminist sort of boutique releases is what we're going to dive into. And like I said, I apologize in advance for the melancholy feeling some of these are going to leave if you are into them. All right. You want me to go first? Or you want to share your first one first?
I am realizing I left one of mine downstairs, so I might have to run and get that real quick. So
Okay.
if you want to go first, I will be able to hear you because my headphones will be in range, but I'm just going to go run and grab it real quick.
Okay, I'll do one of my two happy ones while you do that then. I love Fast Times at Ridgemont High. This is a Criterion release that's fairly new. This is number 1075 in their spine system. This is directed by Amy Heckerling, of course, and this release is decent. I fully expect this to get a 4K release probably in the next year or so. This is from 1982 and a movie that I have always loved. This has some of the most realistic depictions of high school and the things that people go through from that period of awkward adolescence where you are lost and don't know who you are yet, and you're trying to make your way into that next stage of life. And a lot of films that try to display that don't nail it a lot of the time. This movie really seems to. It's not super fantastical. The release also comes with a booklet, and in here we got a few things that are written that is actually it's a pretty good book for a film like this, especially one that's this popular, obviously. Fast Times is an incredibly popular film, and I get that, but I feel like not a lot of people are looking at it from a perspective of important boutique releases lately. And with a film like this that has this many, really incredible cast members, I mean, I'm probably going to forget some if I don't start reading. So we've got Sean Penn, Jennifer Jason Leigh, Judge Reinhold, Phoebe Cates, what is his name? Gosh, I can't think of it right now. Forrest Whitaker. That's it. He plays a very small part in this. We got Anthony Edwards is in this. Eric Stoltz. Lots and lots of names in this. But one of the important things that I think really lends itself to making these smart choices about displaying things realistically about the awkward... Oh, yeah. Hello, Nicolas Cage. About the awkward transition from semi-adolescence into adulthood is the fact that it's done with a female eye. And the other aspects that come, unfortunately, with a lot of the other sex comedies around the 80s that's done with a very male, very cishet male-focused point of view, it loses ground to just this unnatural form of dialogue. And everything in this is so much more realistic. And obviously, I mean, this has like one of the most well-known and maybe like one of the sexiest scenes of all time. And it's done in such a realistic fashion that's awkward, but keeps it like hot for a lot of people. It's a really well-filmed movie. Amy Heckerling is just brilliant in the way that she frames a lot of this stuff. And the fact that they don't hold anything back. They talk about sex. They talk about abortions. They talk about working. Mm-hmm. They talk about all these interpersonal relationships. There's so much in this that you just don't get from things like One of the Boys in the 80s, or I mean, even like as far as the stupid Judd Apatow comedies that are decent and a fun laugh sometimes, but they don't have like that love that goes into it from a realistic standpoint. And I've always loved Fast Times.
Yeah, I'm a fan of it too. I actually saw it for the first time last year, maybe. I bought that release and I watched it. And I was really into it. I loved it. Yeah, Spicoli is just really, really funny. I really like that character. But yeah, there's like a lot of shit. I mean, it's like it's like a serious thing a lot of the time. Actually, like there's quite a bit of genuine themes and like yeah, like the stuff, the way it handles abortion and things like that. It's
Yeah.
just really kind of bold for the time, or just ever really. I mean, honestly, it might even be bolder now. But like I want to say that the supplements on that release are really great. Like there's a really great conversation with Amy Heckerling and what's her name? Shit. Olivia Wilde. She kind of moderates this
because
discussion,
Cameron
and her
goes-
enthusiasm. Yeah, her enthusiasm is just like infectious on how much she loves the film. And there's a lot of insightful things in those supplements. And yeah, it's a really great film. It was one that I was considering pulling out, and I'm glad I didn't. And I actually grabbed some extra ones just in case we have any of the same picks, because I'd like to kind of have as diverse a group of films to talk about as possible. So we'll see. But
I agree. And if you copy one of mine, I'll spring for another one that's close. All right. How about your number 1 or 5 or what? Mine aren't really ranked.
Mine aren't ranked at all either, honestly. I do have a little bonus one I want to talk about real quick.
Oh, yeah.
Hopefully it'll make sense once I start talking about it. But like I wanted to talk about the Velvet Queen. This is one from Oscilloscope that just came out. I'm gonna be honest, I watched this last night and I wasn't like super into it, which is why it's not one of my official picks. And it is co-directed by a man, and I wanted to just do all female directors. But so I want to, I guess, crowdsource this sort of information because I couldn't find anything online, any reviews of this release. When I put this in, how do I describe this? It was like stuttering like crazy. And I thought that it might be my system or whatever. I mean, I haven't had a problem with that in years. Like I got it pretty much down to a science and tried messing with the frame rate and stuff, and that wasn't working. But the movement was like, like that the whole time.
Weird.
And so I saw that this was on the Criterion channel, and I was like, let me see if it does it there too. Maybe there's just something weird going on. And no, the motion was perfect on that. And so I actually ended up watching it on the Criterion channel when I have this. So that's really unfortunate, right? So I don't know if I have a faulty copy or if they kind of dropped the ball on this release. And I was hoping that somebody out there has also seen this or owns it and can tell me if theirs is fucked up too, or if I need to get a replacement or what. So
I will check. See. I think I have this one.
It came in the Circle of Trust package. So
yeah, I do have it. I'll throw it in and check for you.
Okay, cool. Thanks. It's not bad or anything. It's just kind of, I mean, it's a nature documentary and it is really like beautiful in that regard. And I don't know, like the people in it just kind of have these like pseudo philosophical discussions the whole time that kind of get on my nerves, honestly. Like, and just in terms of its pacing, it kind of meanders quite a bit, but a lot of people seem to really like it. So I did want to kind of throw that out there. If that sounds like your kind of thing, it is on the channel. It is part of the Oscilloscope Circle of Trust. So you might already have it. Yeah, check that one out. But that's my kind of appetizer pick, I guess. My first proper pick that I wanted to talk about is Lynn Ramsey. We need to talk about Kevin. Yeah. Was that one of yours too? Shit.
It was. You're okay.
Yeah. Okay, so a friend of mine was hanging out with me today, and I was asking her what she wanted to watch, and she's like, you pick something.
Oh, no.
And I was like, I've been thinking about this film a lot recently, and it would be apropos for the stream I'm on tonight. And she was like, I love that movie. We should watch it. And I was like, cool. So we did. And boy, howdy. This was a rewatch for me. I had seen this before. I didn't think it was possible, but this is so much harder to watch and so much more grim the second time you watch it.
Yep.
This is a fucking bummer. Let me tell you that. This is so bleak and dark. I don't know. I've been thinking about it all day, and I've been thinking about the sort of philosophical implications of it all day. Just watching it, the amount of interesting themes that are packed into it. Yeah. I mean, you could talk about it. You could write a book about it, honestly.
Easily.
Like the whole nature of like the bad seed or quote unquote evil people, or just, I had a thought watching it that I shared with my friend, and we were talking about this a little bit, and this is pretty grim. So, if it's a huge bummer, I apologize. But like the way that the frequency with which mass shootings and incidents of mass violence have been escalating and continue to escalate in the United States, it's actually, I don't think, a stretch to say that there is a literal audience of people who can exactly 100% one-to-one relate to the experience that Tilda Swinton's character goes through in this film.
Right.
And that should be such an extreme and uncommon experience, but it really is something that so many people at this point have had to go through. David, what did Tilda Swinton do that was problematic? That's unfortunate.
There is a current production set that they are still requiring COVID requirements, and she basically said, I'm fucking done with masks, and isn't going to wear it.
That's a bummer. Yeah. I don't know what's going on with Ezra Miller either. They're kind of going through it, but like shit. Their performance in this is really good. Yeah, I love that.
The
package.
Inner work of this. While you were talking, I just wanted to show some of the art, because this is like
It's
brilliantly done. And I mean, wow.
I was showing that to my friend while, when I was putting the disc in. I was like, look at this shit. It's so good. She was impressed by it, I think. So that's good. Yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of overwhelmed thinking about it and how intense it is, and the various things that it sort of touches upon or explores. I want to say that the way it's edited is really fascinating to me. There are some, like, I guess, cuts from one thing to another thing that kind of say things in and of themselves and give you interesting associations to make. Like there's a really interesting scene where it kind of, well, again, I don't really want to spoil stuff, so maybe I shouldn't say this, but like you kind of get a glimpse of the event that kind of culminates at the end. And it cuts to her screaming. And I think, at least for me, at first, I thought that was her reaction to learning the news of what happened, but it's actually a clip of her giving birth. So I think that gives some pretty interesting parallels and says something, Yeah, I don't know.
I've got three things since you're overwhelmed at the moment that I wanted to throw out when I was preparing for this. So, one, really love that on the Digipack, you can't see a whole lot of this, but there's an essay printed on the outside of it by Mark Stafford. You probably don't know that name. And the reason for that is the bottom of this says, Mark Stafford is a psychoanalyst in New York. He's a member of a psychoanalytic association and on the faculty of the School of Visual Arts at the Parsons School of Design. So they got an actual psychoanalyst to talk about the content of this film. Super unique. I'm glad they did that.
I didn't realize that. I'm probably going to read it as soon as we're done.
It's pretty good. One of the other things that I really want to throw out there is the fact that they use time jumps in this movie in a really interesting way. So not only are the edits really well done, it's not told in exact order, and it leaves you, by nature of what you're watching, you already are more on edge because of the timeline. You don't know what you're reacting to. You don't always know what you're seeing. You are stuck in a situation that is very much like what Tilda Swinton is going through, in that she's starting to get more and more frustrated. And as you're watching it, it is this agonizing, impending doom that you know something is coming, and then a time jump will happen, and you're like, well, fuck. It's like, I was thinking about this earlier, and I didn't know if I was going to use this, but it's you, so it's funny, so I'll say it. It feels like you're edging depression almost. There's certain things that is coming up where you're like, I'm ready to have this big emotional outburst, but no, I got to hold it in a little bit more. And it's, it is such a hard film to watch as somebody that is a parent and sends 2 kids to school in a Midwest state that they've already had far too many lockdown exercises that I am not happy about. And when both of my kids are special needs, and you see the way that the kids behave in this film, it brings everything closer to home. And the last thing to throw out is the use of color in this movie is stark. The amount of suddenly blood red things that appear out of nowhere very much harkens back to like Sixth Sense, when you know something is happening and because of that color. And it's done so vividly against this really bleak background that those scenes specifically, they just make you feel like it's more lived in, which makes it hurt just a little bit more. And I love this movie. This is such a sad movie to say that you love, but it's so expertly crafted.
It's so good. Yeah, I was having a hard time with it, and I'm not a parent at all, you know, and like I was trying to imagine like sorry, I was just reading the chat comments. Yeah, I was trying to picture how I would feel watching that as a parent. I think I almost probably couldn't watch it. It would be too devastating to really put myself in that situation, you know. Yeah, the way that the timeline is chopped up and thrown about like that, that's also kind of what I was getting at when I was talking about the editing. Like I remember watching it the first time and being a little bit confused, or it's very disorienting the way that it cuts it all together. And watching it again, it's so obvious what it's all leading to. And I was trying to put myself back in the frame of mind of seeing it for the first time. And I was like, why is it that it was difficult for me to like kind of understand what was happening? It's pretty obvious. But I think that there's enough scenes in there that don't really make sense, that like how they're blaming her the whole time when that is clearly so irrational. I'm just like, well, like there must be something else that has happened that people are reacting this way and everything. And I don't know. It's one that really becomes even more difficult the second time you watch it. And it's just endlessly grim. Yeah.
It is. But it's a wonderful, wonderful film.
Thank you, D. Sibner, for saying that, by the way. That was something I was going to correct, but you were on top of it, so.
Man, this is a weird one to follow that one up with, but I'm going to do it anyways. Another one that kind of falls in line with my first pick, in that there are films similar to my next pick that are told through a very male eye, and they just feel different. And this one is done by a director that had a pretty major impact on me when I was younger for a very different styled film. And that is Penelope Spheris, who directed Wayne's World, that I watched probably 914 times at least. The Severin release of The Boys Next Door. So I've talked about this movie so many times. This movie, first of all, extremely homoerotic. Extremely.
Well, yeah. It's also overtly homophobic in a couple scenes, but it is it does kind of skirt that line, doesn't it?
Yep. This one, if you've never seen it, this feels like a post Friday night football game at a high school turning into Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer. And that's kind of like the only real way to share what happens in this movie. There's some very, very dark scenes that you are not expecting in this, where just sudden violence happens, and it's so out of character. But these two characters in this, we got Maxwell Caulfield and Charlie Sheen of all people, which history of problematic people and everything that we're talking about right now. This one it's dark, sadistic. It is thrilling, and it is so frustrating to watch this because you are just questioning why somebody's like, you've no reason to be doing what you're doing. Why are you just kind of losing control of everything? And I don't know. It's great, but really, what I really wanted to throw out on this is, for a movie like this, first off, it's Penelope Spheres. She didn't have to do a damn thing on this, and we got all kinds of extras on this disc. We got an audio commentary with Penelope Spheres and Maxwell Caulfield. We got an interview with Stephen Thrower. We have interview with Maxwell Caulfield and Christopher McDonald. Interviews with street band performers. There is a Cinemaniacs interview with the director Penelope Spheres and Maxwell Caulfield again. Another interview with actor Kenneth Courtland, and then there is the Psychotronic Tourist, The Boys Next Door, which is a little featurette, and then an alternate opening title and extended scenes. This is it's a really solid release that is basically just a standard release from Severin, and you can get it fairly cheap, and it is a bleak film, and almost for no reason whatsoever.
It's pretty nihilistic, yeah. It's definitely kind of exploiting this sort of fear of youth,
yeah,
and of urban youth specifically. It's definitely a pretty nasty film.
Yeah.
One that might be a bit jarring for fans of, say, 2.5 Men or something like that. But yeah,
Wayne's World.
Yeah, yeah, I actually rented that disc, so I did watch the interviews on it too. Yeah, it's a good release, and it's an interesting film. It's just so, I'm trying to, it's been a minute since I've seen it, so it's kind of coming back to me as you're talking about it. But yeah, it's just such a kind of gritty, bleak. It's not a good time, really, but it has that veneer of being a good time, like they're out on the town having a kind of boys' night out or whatever, but it's like, just, I mean, that's kind of the point, honestly, maybe, is there might be something to that commentary. But yeah.
Mitchell says, never seen it before. Is it the anti-Heathers? I mean, you can kind of frame it that way, but in all reality, it's a very like high school version of Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer. But
it really is, honestly. Now that I've seen that too, thinking about it, you're kind of right.
Yeah. And it gets to be as dark as where Henry kind of loses control, especially in that one bedroom scene. But other than that, it kind of feels that way from earlier on in the film. So it feels darker, and the peer pressure aspect of it feels more nihilistic, which Henry already is pretty damn nihilistic. But this feels more, I don't know, like innocently nihilistic, which probably isn't even the proper way to frame that. But it's just an odd way to look at something, and you just completely throw everything away for damn near nothing.
Yeah, it's a wild one for sure, and I will co-sign that recommendation. I think it's very interesting.
Good.
Next, I'm realizing this is my third oscilloscope release in a row. That wasn't necessarily on purpose, but they do make an effort to highlight female filmmakers, and they put out some good stuff. So
I love that I have one too.
This next one, I needed to have at least one from Kelly Reichardt, who is one of my favorite directors ever. I picked Wendy and Lucy.
Oh, nice. I almost picked Meek's Cutoff.
Meek's Cutoff is good too. I think I need to watch that one again. It didn't quite do it for me the first time I saw it, but I think I'll appreciate it more the second time. But Wendy and Lucy is just, it's very sad too. We're just talking about sad shit tonight, I guess. But like, it's a dog movie, and it's a sad dog movie, but it's not a sad dog movie in the way that like Old Yeller is or something like that. So dog people don't feel too afraid of it, but it's just about this young girl who is essentially homeless and is just living with her dog, and it's a very kind of bleak but also incisive commentary on poverty, on misogyny, and also just, homelessness, but also just like the connection that people have they can have with animals and with dogs specifically. Um, you just kind of see how people go out of their way to be cruel and callous to her just because she's a homeless person. And the way that this kind of gives both her and the dog humanity, um, I don't know. It's a very understated film, but it's one that really stayed with me, and I think will stay with you too if anybody watching chooses to watch it. Um, yeah, I only saw it the one time a few years ago, but I did watch all the short films that are included on this disc.
Oh, nice.
She actually curated like a collection of shorts from other people, which is interesting. I haven't really seen anything quite like that, but they're very experimental and interesting. So it's worth picking up for that alone, honestly. But
Man.
yeah, this is one that has definitely stayed with me. It's like a very low budget, very there's not a ton going on here. It's really just relying on its characters and its script, and it's just so successful, I think. So
Yeah.
Kelly Reichardt is a gem, and I love her. And I wanted to highlight at least one of her films. So this was my pick.
Fully stand behind Kelly Reichardt. Agreed on there's not a lot to it. In fact, I'd almost say a lot of their films are like minimalist in nature, but the storytelling is just so like welcoming to the viewer that you can't help but feel a little more attached to every single thing that she films. And it's difficult to explain until you've seen one, but they are all just special in their own way. I love Kelly Reichardt.
Yeah, me too.
All right. My next one is one that a friend of the channel, John Peters, just watched, I believe, yesterday. Might have been the day before. This one, I always forget the name of the director, so I wanted to... Seligman. That's why. So this is one I had to choose because the moment I saw this, I knew that this was like one of my favorite boutique releases of all time. And I'm hoping that you didn't choose this just because you always have great choices, but this is such a damn good movie. Shiva Baby. This is...
I didn't pick that one.
Thank goodness. This is a gift to humanity. This movie is wonderful, awkward, tense, hilarious, sad in a couple spots, but overall, it is this situation that you don't want anything to do with, and it is such a great movie. There's enough in this to really chew on while you're watching it, but there's again, it basically takes place in mostly one location. There's a short shot in an apartment building, and then everything takes place at the Shiva, and then that's basically it. And this story, if you've never seen it, is with Rachel Sennett, who is like God's gift to cinema lately, especially with what she does in Bodies. So she starts in this apartment where she's having an affair with somebody, and she goes to a Shiva, and the person that she was having an affair with shows up, and it turns into this weird, like, sexually nihilistic film where she's very tense and awkward. And then the music in this movie, they use it kind of like the score in Us from Jordan Peele to bring this almost like horror tension to it. And because of that, it makes you feel like your heart starts pounding, and you're like, why do I feel awkward? They're just cracking silly jokes. And then everything gets worse, and it becomes tense and full on, like, oh God, cringe. Why is she doing this? And it's so hard to explain, but the release is great. You got the trailer on here. There's an audio commentary with Emma Seligman, and then the cast is with her. There's a Q&A with Emma and Rachel Sennett, and moderated by Rachel Handler. There is, if you've seen it, you'll know that the bagel disc is there for a reason. There's also this wonderful poster that I really want to frame, and probably should, of the cover art with the bagels on the I think it's a whipped cream dress, and supposedly she was actually nude while taking this, which had to have been gross to clean up. And then this very classic 90s erotic thriller poster on the backside.
I like that one.
Yeah, it's really good. Really good. This movie is firmly close to a 5 out of 5 for me.
Nice. So I haven't seen it, but it was recently put on my radar and my watch list because I was shall we say, enamored with her in Bodies Cubed, and I wanted to see what else she's done, and that came up, and I was like, "Oh, that's interesting." And I could have sworn I recognized it from the Vinegar Syndrome site, and lo and behold, it was.
There's alt art on the other
Yeah.
side with that poster too.
Yeah, and that film is like very popular on Letterboxd and also very highly rated. And so I
Yep.
was like, "Oh, it's definitely sold out. Like this is a big title for a partner label," and it's not. And it was only 1,000 units. I don't know what's going on there, but it's one that I'm definitely buying next sale time, assuming it's still there by then. So yeah, it's definitely one that I'll be prioritizing.
Yes. I don't understand what's going on there either. I think it came out
Very strange to
before
me.
a lot of the partner labels caught on, and Utopia is also not
Mhm.
one of the popular partner labels, which doesn't make
Mhm.
sense to me because they do incredible work.
They do, and they also do like more popular films a lot of the
Yep.
time, you know? Yeah, 281. I saw that. I mean, that's honestly kind of high, proportionate to 1,000 units and proportionate to how
When it
long it's been out.
Yeah.
So, you know.
Sibner says, "Are you sure it's not cream cheese? That would make more sense." I think it's meant to be cream cheese, but they couldn't film with that much cream cheese or take a full photo session with that much cream cheese. In fact, if I remember right, it might even be shaving cream that they used.
Hmm.
Anyways, that was my third one.
All right. My third one is one that I watched recently. This is the Altered Innocence title that I would consider to be a slow burn. We're going to get a little spicy here. This is a pretty wild film here. I'm going to go with Grand Jeté. Did you pick this one up?
I did, and I watched like the first 10 minutes of it. I've not been able to finish it yet.
Okay. Yeah, this one. Here, let me just so here's the title, the original cover. It's not being subtle about what this is about. We got mother and son, and this is my favorite pull quote on any release ever. Boundary pushing subject matter. A neutral fucking quote if I've ever heard one. Like, yeah, it is. Anyway, if you haven't guessed, this is part of the ICU, the Incest Cinematic Universe. Yeah, it's about this mother who kind of she's like a really hardcore ballet dancer. It's got kind of Black Swan vibes in that regard. And she gives her son essentially to her mom, so he's raised by his grandmother, so she can focus on dancing. And they have a sort of reunion of sorts. And I don't think it's a spoiler to say this because they're very overt about what this is about, but they kind of start a sexual relationship as mother and son. Yeah, that's obviously gonna. Thank you. I thought that was funny too. They're kind of, that's obviously going to have people reacting a certain type of way. But when I saw that was announced, I'm not gonna lie, I'm kind of a I've said it already once. I'm a really big fan of like subversive, boundary pushing cinema and stuff. Like if you can get it real depraved and it's supposed to be, yeah, that's true. And it's supposed to be good. Like it's not just gross and offensive just to be gross and offensive, then like I'm on board. And then also I saw this back image on the slip and I was like, well, now I gotta see what that is. This is fun. I'm into that. And having watched the film, I won't tell you what it is. And there's some stiff competition in terms of the wildest scene in this film, and this might be it. This might take the cake. It's fucking out there. The film is very challenging, not just in its subject matter, but in the way that it tells it. The sort of pacing and the very sparse dialogue. It's something that you kind of have to choose to devote all your attention to. Like if you end up your phone or something, like you're gonna check out for a second and then you're gonna kind of get lost, which I will admit I did a few times. So it's a film that doesn't really hold your hand at all in terms of like helping you follow what's happening. There's a lot of things that you kind of have to read through body language and surrounding context and subtext and things like that. So it's definitely a challenging film for sure. Like it's one that I think I would need to rewatch to really fully understand and appreciate. Um, and it's also like I was reading reviews of it once I finished watching it. Um, I mean, one, just to make sure I understood everything that happened, to see if we were all on the same page. But like, people seem to be not stoked about the fact that it takes a very neutral stance and kind of observation on this kind of relationship. Like, it kind of trusts that you know that this is, shall we say, unorthodox and perhaps questionable. Like, it's not really doing a lot of work to like make that obvious to you. But I kind of like that, honestly. Like, it's just kind of letting it play out as it is, and it's not making a ton of judgments about that, and it's letting the viewer kind of figure that out for themselves and kind of do the work of trying to understand why these people have arrived at this venture in their lives. And I think that it's a very interesting commentary on kind of, I guess, identity, but also like these people are clearly trying to use this as something to, I guess, alleviate difficult transitory periods of their life and to kind of make up for a lost connection that they never had. And it's sort of this extreme overcorrection and a very interesting kind of look into gender and power dynamics. And yeah, I don't know. There's a lot going on here, and I don't want to like spoil it for people, but there's a lot of scenes in here that I could just describe to you, and you would just be like, "I'm sorry, what?" And you'd probably like need to go see it just to make sure I'm not lying to you.
Interesting.
But I don't know if I want to spoil those because they're so like once they start, you're just like, "Excuse me, is this really happening?" And it is. Okay. There's a I don't know. I'm very tempted to just say it, but I also don't know if I should.
I mean, you can spoil one if you want.
Okay, so there's 3 major scenes in this that I would describe as being pretty out there. One of them involves masturbating with scissors, so we'll go with that one. It's not fun.
Oh.
Oh boy, yeah.
Yeah. So
also, there is only one supplement on this, and it's a interview with the 2 lead actors, but it's actually really, really good. And you know, she kind of yeah, I had a feeling that would provoke some reactions. It's not as graphic as you would think, but it is pretty viscerally horrifying. Especially the lead actress, I think, may be related to her character a little too much. And I was like, maybe pump the brakes on defending this. But, you know, it was a really fascinating interview. And I really liked the guy's perspective on it. Also, you know, to have a shallow, horny freak moment, like they're just both extremely attractive people. And there's a lot of scenes to perhaps enjoy that. So take that as you will. But the interview is good. I'm gonna leave it at that.
That's how we summed that up. Nice. Mm-hmm. I mean, yes, I read the description, and a lot of that basically is what it sounded like. I still want to see it. I mean, it sounds fascinating. Sounds like something I would have a lot to glean from it for sure. Mm-hmm. Altered Innocence does great stuff. The stuff that they put out stuff that most people have just plain never heard of, and shines a light on the queer community properly a lot of the time. Really great coming of age films when they do those. Yeah, they do great stuff.
They're probably my favorite partner label, honestly. And I mean, it's on the one hand, it's a good thing that they put out so much stuff, but on the other hand, it's like it's hard to keep up. But their price point is almost always lower.
Yep,
which is nice too. Like I think every release I've gotten from them almost is like $16 for the limited edition at the half off, which is great, you know.
Honestly, that's probably the same about Utopia as well, actually. A lot of their stuff.
Yeah, some of them are cheaper. I don't know.
I don't know why. Huh.
Well, I think for Altered Innocence is because they don't do a ton of supplements. That might be it.
Right.
But I don't know.
It could be licensing costs too, are just simply
Mhm.
cheaper, because a lot of those, I can't imagine there's many people trying to, put out this incest film and fighting to get the rights to it.
I don't know. Fucking Universal's all over that. You know?
It's it's coming out in one of those Warner Brothers 100-year anniversary box sets.
Yeah.
Oh man. All right. So my fourth one, this is the one that I'm going to use to substitute for We Need to Talk About Kevin. And it was the only one that when I turned around, I went, oh, I could probably talk about this one because I just watched it recently. And this is one I could reach from where I was standing. I'm going to go with another downer of a film, though, and bring up Sofia Coppola's The Virgin Suicides.
Nice. It's a great film.
This kind of goes with what we talked about earlier, too, with the puritanical issues underlying these really like gross situations, and when somebody is forced to be puritanical in a way that they can't handle, and you have an entire family that falls apart because of it. I mean, it's depressing, and the film itself is shot in this weird like dreamlike capacity, and for it being this early of a film from Sofia Coppola, that it's, I mean, obviously it's a famous family and the whole Nepo baby thing is going to come into play, but there's cast members in this that crush. I mean, Kirsten Dunst in this. Kirsten Dunst.
I love
is
her.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Incredible. You've got baby Josh Hartnett looking like he does in Halloween H2O. I believe this was filmed right around then. Let's see. The extras on this, pretty decent. A lot of it is archival, unfortunately. We got interviews with Coppola, Lackman, Kirsten Dunst, and Josh Hartnett. We got a making of, which is a 1998 documentary by Eleanor Coppola and featuring Sofia Coppola. There is a 1998 short film by Sofia Coppola, music video. Yeah, it's decent. Got not a long insert. In fact, I don't even remember if there's... Okay, so there's a little bit of writing in here. Classic Criterion, couple pages, lots of pictures, and then the backside, lots of writing. This movie, like, it's so beautifully filmed that it can be distracting in some of the scenes, and then the way that the daughters are, I don't know, it like borderline Amish in some of the things that they're forced to be, and the parents just taking their conservative values and thrusting it upon an entire family. And not ironic at all that one of them is James Woods. This is The Virgin Suicides. It's great. If you've never seen it, you should probably look it up. It is wonderful. Soundtrack is amazing. Shot beautifully. The 4K looks great. Holds up.
Okay, that's what I was going to ask. Like, so I have the Blu-ray. Should I get the 4K? Is it that much of an upgrade that it's worth it? Because I've kind of been itching to rewatch it, to be honest with you. But just the knowledge that the 4K is out there, I'm like, should I hold off and just buy that and then watch it? Like, I don't know.
You know how she filmed it, and because of that, it's very almost like ethereal in the way that the 4K looks. It's very filmic. It's fairly grain forward. It adds a lot of texture, I gotta be honest.
Okay. I'll probably pick it up at some point. Yeah, it's just beautiful cinematography. Like, it's definitely something that you want to be the best quality possible, I think. Yeah, you talked about the nepotism thing, and I do agree that is clearly a factor, but also I think it's an instance where this is such a dark and bold subject matter that I think that kind of nepotism is used for the greater good. Like, can you imagine if, I don't know, Sophia Smith, like, nobody tried to put forward this idea or this script, like,
as their first
want
film.
to make that? Yeah, who would want to do that, you know? But if Sofia Coppola is like, hey, I want to do this film about mass suicide and conservative fucking, you know, totalitarianism and in the family unit, you know what I mean? Like, sure, whatever. Not to mention,
hardly anyone else would have been able to get like a Kirsten Dunst for this. It just would not have happened.
Yeah. I don't know. It's a film that is like equally beautiful and upsetting, and
Yeah.
I just have been thinking about it a lot and kind of itching to rewatch it. Yeah. Ooh, that's harsh.
It's very harsh.
I don't know about that. All right.
Ash says, "Do you think I'm making a mistake getting the Shiver of the Vampires on 4K? Not if you want it. Period."
Yeah.
Sibner says it's got a lot of soft focus in it, though. It does. However, the coloring in that movie is great, and literally the biggest thing is the textures. It does have a lot of soft focus, but it really does bring in a lot of, like, the interiors of the house looks better than you'd ever expect, for sure. What's going on, Brian?
Hi.
Alrighty. Next one up.
I feel like
for
I had
you.
one more closing thought on that, but
okay.
It has escaped me. So we'll let it vanish in the ether. I'll go ahead and pull out the next one here. Hopefully this isn't one you selected, but yeah, this was also a recent first time watch. I kind of use this as an opportunity to fill in some of the gaps in my collection where it's just been sitting there and I need to watch it, but this is Jenny Livingston, Paris is Burning. I mean, people have been telling me how good this is, and it's kind of one of those things where I know it's going to be incredible and I know that I need to see it. I just want to make sure that I'm in the right frame of mind to appreciate it.
Yeah.
And it is a pretty short runtime, which is, kind of helps in that intimidation factor, I guess. But yeah, we just kind of started watching. I watched this with Avery the other night, and she had actually seen it before. So that was cool. And she had really recommended it and said that it was great. And this was actually something that she bought a few years ago. So that's cool. Yeah. Okay. Once it started, it was the way. Have you seen it, by the way?
Years ago. It's been a long time. I'm not going to be able to recall a lot of the details.
Okay. The editing and the pacing is very frenetic. Like, it's just a lot coming at you in a short amount of time. And it doesn't really do a lot in the way of, like, there's no narration or anything like that. There's nothing to say to you like, hey, this is what we're talking about. Like, here's a quick rundown of New York City ball culture. It kind of throws you right in, and it lets the people who actually lived it kind of piece that together for you over the course of the runtime. And so by the end of it, it all kind of comes together and makes sense. And you feel like you've just kind of lived in this world for, I don't know, 70, 75 minutes or something like that. So at first I was kind of like, I don't know, I feel kind of lost watching this. Like, I feel like I'm missing some context that I need. But by the end of it, it just, I don't know, it just does that thing that great filmmaking does, where it kind of pulls a magic trick on you, or by the end of it, it just comes together and makes sense. And you're just thinking about it for a while after it's done, and you're just like, yeah, that was just amazing. I don't know what else to say. Like, that was just perfectly pulled off. There are so many like memorable characters in this, and I don't know. It's kind of a tough one to watch in the current. I love that everybody is just taking off with this ICU thing that I fucking just kind of said on a whim. I've just been kind of low key trying not to laugh at some of these very fun comments. Let me get back to being depressing and serious. With the, shall we say, coordinated genocidal attack on drag and gender diverse cultures right now, especially in the United States, to kind of see this snapshot of that culture and that lifestyle in this very specific moment of catharsis and self-expression that these people created, where, like, I mean, it's sad, but it's also just very accurate, where, like, I don't know, like, in regular society, especially back then, but honestly, it feels like it's getting to be that way here in the current moment too. Like, I mean, I guess I'll just use myself because like I am one of these people. Like people like us, people who have rejected their assigned gender at birth and have rejected gender norms and all these other things. Like traditional society does not give us an avenue or a way to be celebrated or to authentically be ourselves without living in fear or putting ourselves in danger. And this sort of way that they created that space for themselves, I don't know, it's equal parts inspiring and heartbreaking, especially with things that are revealed at the end, which is just, I mean, it's really hard. It's just a gut punch by the time you're at the end of it. Yeah, I mean, this one is very personal for me, especially in the moment that we're living in. But it is, while it is heartbreaking and while it is kind of, I guess, bringing to the forefront a lot of things that I've been feeling lately, it is also just inherently such a beautiful celebration of these people and of this culture and of self-expression in and of itself and of authentically living as yourself. And it's so fucking good. Like, just watch it. That's what I'm going to leave that as, is like, it's worth seeing. It's a beautiful film. So yeah.
Especially nowadays. I mean, the discourse that we are inundated with constantly right now, it's, I don't know, there's a lot. Speaking as somebody that lives in Missouri, of all places at the moment, there's a lot to be worried about and be hopeless about, and just finding the value in some of the origins of some of these stories is very important, and really leads to a personal attachment that will allow you to make things important for yourself.
Yeah. I don't know. It's at a certain point watching this at first, I was like, I don't think straight people should be watching this. Like, they're not going to get it. They're just going to like be gawking at the freak show or think that they get this and they don't.
Right.
Like, sorry, I know. I don't mean to shit on straight people or whatever, but like, by the end of it, I was like, I don't know. I think you owe it to yourself. Like, I mean, if you're a queer person, but also if you're a straight person, to like really force yourself to like be confronted with this culture and these ideas and like understand that this is not anything new. Like, there's this really annoying trend that I keep seeing where people are like, oh, everything was just fine until all you fucking transgenders had to like make a big fuss like literally 3 years ago or whatever. It's like, bro, where have you been? Like, this is not a new thing. You have just very purposefully made it such that you don't have to hear about it. And we're finally just being like, we're kind of done with that. Like, you're going to fucking hear about it. And now you're upset, you know? Anyway. So
Reminds me of a study that was done, I think it was a couple of years ago, and I just recently came across it again, and I kind of recreated it with my wife to see what the answers would be. And basically, the study went to people and just said, here is this list of groups of people, we'll say, and we just want to ask you, out of all of the Americans, what percentage of Americans would fall into this group, in your opinion? And they looked at what people perceived as the percentage and what the actual percentage was. And a couple of them were, the obvious ones, like what percentage would fall into the LGBT crowd, which side, what percentage would fall into identifying as transgender, how many specifically live in Texas, how many own a gun, how many are black, all kinds of things like that. And every single one was drastically higher than the realistic side of things. Certain things were hilarious, like people believing that like 25% of all Americans live in New York City. Like, what? It makes no sense. Or the big one, like 30% of all Americans are Muslim or whatever. But the shocking ones were like 25% of the entire US population is lesbian or gay, and it's way smaller than that. And
not
even
yet.
crazier.
We're working on it.
Even crazier is the transgender side, is when they were asking, people are like, I don't know, 10, 15%. Y'all, it's less than 1%. Come on. There's so
For
few
now.
ac- actual transgender individuals out there that it's crazy to believe that.
Yeah, well, we're working on it. We'll be transing the kids any day now, so don't worry about that.
I didn't attend the last meeting, so good to know.
Okay.
Let's see.
I do think that they are, not to be having a generalized political discussion for an extended period of time, but
That's
like
kind of what we do.
I think they are reacting to the fact that younger people are feeling much more comfortable identifying in that way, and they're thinking that it's like I don't know, we're like actively like making children into like trans people or something, or like
Right.
being these like agents of propaganda and chaos or something, when it's
Standing
like,
in front of Walmart.
I
with
mean,
signs.
maybe it's just that an entire generation was just terrorized into being their assigned gender at birth under like literal threat of death, and now that's less so the case, so people feel safer about being themselves. What a wild concept. This is not an original thought. I'm stealing this from like a tweet or something I saw, but like there's a very interesting graph of the number of people who are left-handed, and there's the before, like you were even allowed to be left-handed and they would just force you to be right-handed, and after, and it's like, wow, I can't believe this left-handed propaganda turning kids left-handed. It's unbelievable.
The numbers are
Wow, it's
skyrocketing.
crazy. It's crazy. It's like if you let people be themselves, they might actually do that. What a wild concept. Anyway.
Yikes. I kind of don't want to talk about my fifth one now.
Go for it.
Well, it's very depressing as well. So we're just going to stay in that realm, and I'm going to go with one of my favorite modern female directors, and she hasn't even done enough to make me say like she's on the way to being prolific or anything. I'm going to go with The Nightingale. Jennifer Kent's release of The Nightingale is a starkly depressing film, and if you can get past the first 30 minutes, it becomes much more justice filled, and you'll be happier after that point. I promise. This is essentially a revenge film. So we have our main character Claire, who has been assaulted, had a tragic thing happen to her family, and that's putting it very mildly. And she goes chasing after this individual that is a British officer, and she goes after the individual that brought all of this havoc to her family. And she has to go and enlist the services of an Aboriginal tracker, because this is set in 1825, and obviously this is set in Australia, I believe. And this release is amazing, but the film is stupendous. This is the book on here, and it's very good. Second Sight, always top notch on what they're doing. Came with all kinds of art cards. The movie itself, there's a lot to unpack in this, because we were talking about triggers earlier. There are multiple things in this that are hard to watch, that are important to watch in this. It is not an easy first 30 minutes of this movie to get through. There are two main scenes that are hard to watch for sure, and they're supposed to be. They're supposed to make you feel pained. They're supposed to make you feel awkward and hurt and empathetic, and then that led to your feeling empathetic for the following chase that happens throughout the rest of this film. But the real story is that everybody around this time is just straight wronged, unless you're white, male, and British. And anybody else other than an Australian female director was not going to have this firm grasp on this film like Jennifer Kent does. For those that don't know, she's the one that directed The Babadook, and it seems like she has just detractors for everything that she makes, because people hate both of these films, and I love them both. What was that about?
I haven't seen that one yet, but people who hate The Babadook are wrong. I'm sorry, but like, come on.
I agree.
Okay, that might be a little harsh, but like, I want to know why you would say something that strong, because I'm a bit suspicious of that.
The answer usually is because there's a screaming child.
Oh, heaven forbid.
Yeah.
God forbid we. I don't know. That's a whole thing. You didn't pick the Babadook. We're not here to talk about the Babadook, but I love that film, and I know that you do too. So,
Tony, who is an Australian, says it's set in Van Diemen's Land, which is Tasmania, Australia today, and this one is just so important to watch. It is so respectful to the actual history of Australia, which I was going to use the word heritage, but the history of it is probably a little more accurate and important to talk about because it is so damn authentic. Like the actual Aboriginal language that is used in this, the way that they don't shy away from showing people that have Aboriginal ethnicities, the way that they are always trying to find the best like places to film this. It is filmed in the places where a lot of this type of thing happened. It is a very it's a brutal movie in all aspects of it. It is a wonderful story that you can easily place yourself into, and because of the people that are being hurt in it, if you if you're a decent person, empathy is very easy to find in this film, and it's just starkly depressing, and it leads to this emotional outpouring throughout the entire thing. Emotional outpouring. And it's so important to watch. I love this movie. This release is stupendous. I mean, Second Sight, ridiculously great. They've got an interview with the lead actress here. They've got interview with Michael Sheesby from the film. There is an interview with another actor, a couple others actually. Interview with the producer, interview with the editor, interview with the production designer, which the production design in this film, because it's made to be authentic, is incredibly impressive. It is something that really would have been easy to phone in, and they go beyond where they need to make it as authentic as possible. There is a video essay by Alexandra Heller Nicholas that is called Bloody White People that is important to watch. There is a contextual part of The Nightingale and then a making of, and I don't think they're all on here, but the original, I think Shout Factory put this out in the US, and some of the extras on that I don't in this, and they're very good as well. Like everything surrounding this film, which I believe was released in 2019, somewhere around there, it just lends itself to this really like educational way of discovering why this movie is so important. It is a beautiful, violent movie that everybody should probably see.
I mean, you've sold me on it like quite a bit, so I need to get on that. It's been on the watch list for a minute. Just need to finally get around to it. Yeah, I mean, that sounds pretty intense and like something that I would be into. Yeah, sometimes I need really intense films like that to kind of,
yeah,
this is going to sound depressing because it is, but like, I don't know. I have like depression days where I just don't feel like I feel anything, and I need like really intense films to kind of make me feel like a person again. And
I'm the same.
yeah, okay, it's not just me. That's good.
No, I look at some of these as a jumpstart. Sometimes there's so many times where I am. I mean, I'm gonna get real for a minute. Then, I've been going through some shit lately. I am so depressed with my job lately, and because of that, a lot of the films that I've wanted to be like, yeah, this seems perfect for me. It just seems so like flavorless, I guess would be a good way to put it. It's just, why am I watching this? I don't feel a damn thing. And it takes something like this that it's not because there's a sexual assault or a child death that makes me go, oh yeah, I'm into this. It's just, it's so past the point of a normal like drama that you're forced into feeling something, and you go,
yeah,
oh yeah, I'm a human. That's right.
Yeah, it kind of forces your emotions, and it kind of like cuts through that kind of haze and that fog of like normalcy and the kind of constant hum of sadness and depression that I kind of experience, and kind of forces my empathy and my interest in human beings and the extremes of that experience to awaken again. You know, I don't know how healthy that is to be doing constantly, but I think it has its place, right?
Yeah, and that's the thing. After a jump start, then you can go back and get a good meal out of something a little lighter.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that. That's honestly kind of what I did today with We Need to Talk About Kevin. I was just like, I feel like I need something pretty fucked up to kind of get me feeling like a person today. So,
What's funny is I was thinking of like solid female directors. I was like, oh, okay, I got to choose a Lynn Ramsey, but which one? I don't think Celeste will go with We Need to Talk About Kevin. She'll probably go with like more Vern Collar or something like that. I was like, damn.
That was my undercard pick in case you pulled We Need to Talk About Kevin first. I was like, I don't want to do 2 Lynn Ramsey films, but I love her so much.
Beautiful.
I do love this.
See,
that won't.
We haven't even talked all that
pick.
much, and I still know some of the things that you'll pick.
Yeah. What should I pick for my last one? I have a few in front of me that I just kind of pulled.
Which one means the most to you?
Which one means the most to me? I don't know, but I know which one I kind of want to talk about. So let's go with that one. I don't know if this even qualifies as a boutique release, so let me ask you that first. Are we gonna consider Neon releasing to be close enough?
I mean, yeah. As long as they didn't produce the film.
I don't actually know. Anyway, whatever. They're both 2 of these are from the same director, so I'm just gonna throw them in together. I want to talk about Julia Ducournau for a minute with Raw and Titan, because I think that she, I gotta throw in at least one like depraved horror movie in here, right? I guess. Like this one especially, I think is even better than Raw. That's just my personal opinion.
I agree, and most people don't.
She has just knocked it out of the park 2 times in a row now with like truly boundary pushing, disturbing, subversive cinema, which are words that keep coming up because that's kind of what I'm into. But like, man, I think I don't know if I've said this on this stream in particular before, but I say this all the time. Like, if you saw David Cronenberg's Crash and you were like, it's kind of tame, honestly, like this is the film for you.
She fucks the car, yo.
And honestly, when I saw Crash, I was like, could have gone farther with it, honestly. Like, kind of dialed it back a bit, I think, right?
I was the same way the first time I saw it.
I still love it, but yeah. Anyway, this one is intense. And it's really, really good. Like, there's so much going on in this. There's some really interesting gender stuff happening in this too, which is fun. Yeah, it's one that when it ends, you're kind of like, what? But
Anthony, no.
Sure, yeah, why not? But I think that it uses the extremity of its images in a really interesting metaphorical way, where once it's over and you kind of think about it for a bit, at least for me, I was like, oh, I think I get what she was doing here. And yeah, I just wanted to highlight her stuff because I think that she's like one of the more interesting directors working today, and really pushing the boundaries of what horror can accomplish in a way that isn't just like Terrifier or something, like just kind of
it's not just jump scares and gore at all.
Empty violence, I guess. Violence for violence's sake is kind of how I would describe those type of films, which, not to say that that's necessarily a bad thing, but this sort of thing, I think, takes that and amps it up to the extreme, but also has a purpose behind it. Yeah, I think it's really cool and really interesting. And I'm a big fan of what she's done so far, and I'm excited for whatever she ends up doing next.
Yeah, I need to see Raw again. They're both great. For Titan or Titan, however you say it, the one thing I really took away from like the opening of that film that just set the mood perfectly for me is it is not easy to film a car crash that feels visceral and feels meaningful, yet doesn't feel like it's filmed. It feels like it's an actual thing that's happening. And she freaking nails it in that film. It is such a great opening to really set the tone of what you're going for through that entire thing.
I was actually in a fairly serious car accident kind of recently. And so, yeah, that one. And I think Enter the Void is the other one that I think of when I think of really accurate, viscerally upsetting car crash scenes. Everyone's okay, by the way, but we had to get a new car. So that was something. But yeah.
Yeah. I had considered bringing up Titana. I'm glad that you did. I don't know. I'm very curious to see what's next. It's kind of hard to. I mean, first off, it's hard to follow up Raw when it got this like art house love that it did, because people treated it like it was a gift from God and art house horror for a little while, which it's still a good movie, believe me, but it's not. I don't think it's this massive, like huge tide changing accomplishment that it was treated as for a little while. But now that you've got a sophomore release that honestly surpasses that one, in my opinion, you got a little bit of pressure for that next one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
I believe in her. I think she can do it.
Terry says, do we think Titan would be getting the second side treatment? Wouldn't surprise me.
I've heard through the grapevine that it is getting a 4K. And I know that Criterion has that new Neon deal, so wouldn't that be fun if we got the Criterion 4K of that?
Of Titan. Oh, gosh.
In their Cronenbergian tradition, you know?
Yeah. In a Citizen Kane unfolding that's in the shape of like a old Plymouth or something.
There could be some fun stuff with that. You could use the disc hub as like the... I'm going to leave it there. But, you know, you could have each door of the car and then at the center of it, you know what I'm saying? Like, get creative.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? People are bringing it up real quick. I saw Crimes of the Future recently. I know you're not a fan of that, right?
I need to watch it again. Well,
you saw it twice, right?
Yeah.
I mean, if you don't like it, you don't like it. Like, that's chill. But, like, I guess I just wanted to say real quick that I loved it, like, so much. Like, I was so into it. It doesn't happen to me often where I am so sucked into the world building and the story of a film that when the credits hit, I'm actually like, wait, what? That's it? I want more. Like, I want more right now, you know? Like, that doesn't happen to me, like, ever anymore. But when that happened, I was like, shit, that was all so interesting. Like, I want to know more about where this is going in the world that he's created here. And yeah, I don't know. I just loved it. I thought it was great, but it's okay.
I don't know. I feel like I went into it both times expecting something different. And the second time, especially, maybe like knowing complaints, and I didn't like set the table for myself properly. I adore Kristen Stewart, and I feel like she was so wasted in that movie.
Yeah, her performance is something, huh?
She's incredible, but like she's barely on the screen.
Yeah, I did think she was going to be in it more, but yeah, I love it. No, I mean, like, honestly, if you're not like into it, like, it's fine. Like, it sounds like it's not for you if you watched it twice and it didn't work for you the second time.
But it's also like, Cronenberg, which some of that stuff doesn't happen until sometimes the fourth and fifth viewing, to be honest.
Yeah.
This one's been brought up a couple times. Have you seen Pleasure yet?
No, that's the one about like the sex worker, right?
Yes. It's supposedly there's a lot of sex, but it's not sexy at all. It's done in a very unsexy fashion.
Yeah, that one's been on my watch list for a minute. Yeah, I haven't seen it yet, but I've been really interested too. So yeah.
I have the disc release. I need to put it in. The hard part is with two young kids in the house. That's not an easy movie just to decide on a whim to watch.
I don't know.
Honestly, this is this is exactly how I feel about Crimes of the Future. I feel like it's missing an entire third act.
I do kind of agree. Like, I felt like I mean, that's part of why I wanted it to keep going. Like, I felt like it hadn't quite wrapped up yet, but I don't know. By the time the credits were over and I was just thinking about it, I was like, I was okay with it. I was just so into it, and I don't mind the questions that it leaves and the way it kind of ends. But I really hope that they get to do another one, although that seems like very unlikely. I didn't know he wrote a book.
Yep.
That's really cool. I'll need to check that out for sure. I'm a huge Cronenberg fan.
Vigo's definitely a part of it. I feel like he was miscast in that film.
You think so?
Yeah. Well, the hard part, I don't know who would have replaced him. Honestly, it's kind of a tough role, but he's also just very vanilla. Anyways, I think that's it. We went through all of them, and even had a couple extra in there. I think that was a really solid list. Really, really sad week of movies if you went to watch all of them, though.
Well, as it turns out, women have traumatic stories to tell. I wonder why that is.
I wonder. All right. As long as nobody else has anything else, I think we'll call it a night. I appreciate everybody hanging out. There's been a solid 50 plus people most of the night. It's been a good week.
Nice.
As usual, I'll say thank you once again to all of the patrons of the channel. You guys do so much to keep the channel going, and you have no idea how much it helps. If you are interested in that, the link is in the description below. And yeah, lots more stuff coming. You have anything on your channel you want to try to throw out there? I know that you're follow Celeste, by the way. The link is in the description there. Instagram, YouTube. Anything crazy coming up?
No, I'm in a weird spot with the channel lately, but I've been doing a lot of guest appearances, so the subscriber count and the views and stuff are still growing because I haven't been in a place where I've felt the capacity to create my own content, but guesting on other people's has been easier for me, and it's still been very fun. I'm currently just really trying to up my game, for kind of like a top to bottom revamping of the whole thing, and like really trying to take it to the next level, at least from a technical perspective. And well, thank you, Adam. That's very sweet. A lot of people have been telling me that, and honestly, it's very flattering. But I also feel kind of bad. I'm like, man, people actually want to see this stuff, and I've been kind of dragging my feet on it. But like, honestly, I think it'll be worth it by the time it's over. Like, I think the content will be better. I'll be getting like a live stream set up to do my own streams like on a consistent basis, and I've had to like teach myself entire softwares from like the very beginning, so it's been time consuming and labor intensive, but it's also been fulfilling, and I hope it'll be worth it in the end. And I'm also just dealing with a lot personally right now, but yeah, we're getting through. We'll be okay, so that's good. But that is all to say, I'm actually getting pretty close to 1,000 subscribers, which has always been the goal, so that I can start to monetize this and really justify putting the amount of time that I put into it, outside of just the fulfillment I get from. Oh, thank you. Is that today? Yeah, it is. As of 13 minutes ago, I started my YouTube channel 1 year ago today.
Nice. Shit. Congrats.
That's crazy. Yeah, my goal was to hit 1,000 subscribers in the first year, and we got really close. Like, honestly, I'm very proud of that. Like, I'm proud of how far I've come with that, and all the connections and stuff that I made with lovely people like yourself and this wonderful community. So yeah, I think that's a win. But yeah, we're getting pretty close to that too. So that should be fun. If you're not subscribed yet, come hang out. Join the, I guess, the trans gay agenda over there, and our forces will multiply. I don't know. Hey, there it is.
Here is Celeste channel. There is so much on here that you will love. By all means, please go check it out and make sure that you subscribe. I also wanted to say I loved that you brought your flair and flavor to Ken's channel.
Oh yeah, that's been fun. Yeah, I was kind of nervous about being in that community that has it's a much larger pool of people, and it's just a different vibe. But everybody's actually been really sweet to me over there, and a lot of people have joined the channel and everything like that. So that's really cool. Nice. Yeah. So there is content coming in the future. I haven't given up, I promise. Like, it'll come back eventually. But, this is kind of a transitory period right now, I guess. So we're kind of on hiatus, I guess. I mean, I might. I like that film a lot. I'd have to watch it again, but I could do a video on it. I don't know.
That'd be a fun
Yeah,
analysis.
thank you. Thank you all for all the kind comments. That's very sweet of you. I recently updated my Letterboxd handle too, so you can find me over on letterboxd.com/inhumanecstasy.
Nice.
I'm very active over there, so that's another spot. Yeah, that's it in terms of plugs, I think. The ICU, that's a good idea. Everyone loves that. It's a very YouTube friendly topic to approach.
Speaking of
no controversy there.
All right. God, yeah, there'd be a lot of editing in that video. Anyways, yes, if you haven't, please subscribe over there. Click like on your way out. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you all next Thursday.
See ya.